Welcome to NTR Radio. I'm Tom Force Anubis.
I'm K-Odds.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
It's been a while.
I'm Shinden.
Oh, hey, Shinden is here.
Yeah, we have a guest.
I'm here too.
He feels so left out.
Nobody loves you.
I'm so eager to get in with the show that I forgot Shinden is here. What's up, Shinden?
Yeah, not much.
Why do I have a feeling this is some elaborate version of that part from the Peanuts movie, No Dogs Allowed?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's what it reminded me of. Anyway. No Shindens allowed, apparently.
All right, I'll leave then.
No, that's okay. Okay, let's...
Hey,
course correct.
This is the Love Life area.
No, it isn't.
Listen, I'm an ace combat player. I got the Idolmaster Air Force behind me. You don't want to pick this battle because the Idolmaster does not have an Air Force. Wait,
I'm a...
Love Life does not have an Air Force. They might soon, but listen. All I'm saying is we got Su-37s, 33s with Miki Hoshi on them, and I don't know if you want to deal with that.
Ooh. And I'm a dual agent because I'm a fan of both.
Aren't they both like owned by the same company? So it's basically Anaheim Electronics profiting off of both sides of the war.
Yeah, I think they might own Bang Dream also, but don't quote me on that.
I'm sorry, I can't hear that name without thinking that's actually some sort of porn parody.
Well, apparently Bang Dream's really big in Japan. Like,
I couldn't get into it.
Like apparently it's like the third idol thing that we just don't know about in the US.
The game came here.
As opposed to like, again, when you say that, the only other thing that comes to mind is that South Park episode where they have the boy band with Finger Bang. The Finger Bang song or whatever. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Put a cucumber down your pants.
No. Anyway.
That's what Chef told him to.
Oh, yeah. Before he got ousted from the,
Before he quit.
Because they made fun of Scientology. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, how is everybody?
All right.
Pretty good.
I hope everybody had a good holiday season, whatever that may be.
Kind of uneventful.
It was one of those things that was very tiring, even though there wasn't a lot of physical maneuvering.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a little like, I don't want to say stressful, but you're anticipating the stress, but then it just comes
because you're constantly around relatives. Sometimes you don't see them all the time, and then you got like shit. You got to prepare like food and wrap crap for people and. Just all kinds of little things. It's not usually one big one, but it was pretty decent on my end. Nothing really anime related happened, so I'm sorry to disappoint some of you.
Anubis, what have you been doing?
I actually did watch some stuff. Nothing from this season, but
that's fine.
I got in finally the Sentai Filmwork shit that I ordered on Black Friday.
Oh, that took forever to get to your house?
Yeah, that took longer. So I paid for like the 2-day shipping, but it took like a week to ship out. So it was a week and 2 days to get here. It was kind of ridiculous.
Well, that's the U.S. Postal Service for you.
So
through rain and through snow, we'll get it to you. It might be a week late, but we'll get it to you. Yeah. Eventually, we'll get it to you.
Or maybe not. We might just tell you to go fuck yourself.
Did I ever tell any of you guys what happened to me with that? Like, I ordered some CDs years back from a thing that was like a distro in Canada or something, and I totally forgot about it. And then one day they just showed up like 2 months later, and I totally forgot I even did it. That's how long it took, and I'm like, what the fuck? And apparently it got held up at customs for some reason. And I'm just like, wait, like, what the fuck? How did that get held up at customs? Did they see? Oh, what? They're playing a Spanish guitar. You better hold this at the border. I don't know. I honestly, I mean, it wasn't even like anything wild or weird or anything that would raise any eyebrows.
Yeah. Okay.
It was completely safe, maudlin fucking stuff.
I ordered an airsoft gun in September, and I didn't get it like early September, and I didn't get it until late October.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
Yeah, the whole thing was I paid for 3-day shipping from Hong Kong.
Oh fuck, I'd be mad. I will say this: I did not pay for like expedited shipping or anything when I bought this thing from Canada. I actually just did the regular stuff, but it took so long I ended up forgetting I did it.
Oh yeah.
And then when it showed up, I'm like, oh yeah. It's like, that's bad.
So
but yeah, my gun.
You go ahead.
Yeah, my gun was held up at customs for a month and 2 weeks, and the whole thing was they had yeeted this thing like it seemed like the first flight out of Hong Kong. And then it shows up in New York City, and it just stays there. Oh. And then when I finally got it, it wasn't even opened or anything.
Well, New York has some nasty gun control laws.
Yeah. Airsoft's pretty much banned.
Yeah.
I could have told you that.
And the thing was I was actually joking when I said that. So I mean, I know they do. I just didn't know that would apply to even airsoft as well.
That's what I was worried about. I thought they were gonna just like ship it right back because it's a freaking $600 gun.
Yeah, it's just like. I felt that one in the wallet.
Yeah, Tokyo Marui just like they make some really great stuff, but it's expensive as all hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But that'd piss me off. It'd just be like, oh, we sent it back because your not real gun is offensive to the sensibilities of New York.
Your not real gun that can't hurt anyone.
I mean it's not quite like a Nerf gun, but come on.
It's basically one step up from a Nerf. It hurts marginally more than a Nerf gun, but yeah, if you shoot yourself in the eye, then yeah, it's gonna do some damage. But
yeah, but so does soap. I mean, you know, they're not contrabanding Dove. I mean,
you got soap. It's shooting Dawn liquid.
Actually,
in a water gun.
To be fair, at some cons, people having soap would be weird.
To be fair, yeah, you're not wrong.
Because you can't tell me you haven't smelled con stench before, and especially if it's emanating from one person.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're nearby, and you can tell.
I've remembered times when this is like early Kineticon for me. We were in this panel room. It was standing room only, which is how you know it's early Kineticons. You're not going to tolerate that shit anymore. But this dude came in. And
it was like opening a crypt or something like.
The aura inside that panel room changed significantly the moment this gentleman stepped in the room.
It's like opening some antediluvian fucking thing.
There, it didn't smell before. Now it smells. Only one thing has changed, and that's that dude walking in. We know what the problem is.
Well, similarity is when we got in a elevator and this same deal. Dude walks in the elevator, but we're trapped in the fucking elevator. And this guy, oh god, it smelled like rotten eggs or some shit. Like, it was one of those things where it's like, I might throw up. I'm not fucking kidding. Like, this person smells so bad that there's no way other people aren't smelling it. It's one of those things where I don't know about anybody else, but I've always kind of went with the honor buddy system with that. To like, if you start like emitting some weird odors and stuff, they'll tell you.
Oh yeah,
like real soon. I mean, not because you're all gonna sweat. I mean, and you're gonna get like dehydrated and all that kind of stuff because it's just there's a lot of people, there's a lot of atmosphere going on. Some of these places are big enough to have their own weather cycle. Hey, I've been to AX.
You're not wrong.
Like you half expect there to be fucking clouds forming up above the thing, just kind of precipitation going on. I mean, I imagine that's almost like comic market, because it's so big.
Oh yeah.
Like
which is out happening right now.
Yes,
yeah, we
indeed.
should mention that comic market is occurring right now. So
I'm seeing some of the photos of these cosplayers.
Oh, me too.
They are. This is
awesome
ridiculous.
as always. Good as always.
Yeah.
And if you want to see those, even though you might not like this place, Senkaku Complex usually does compile a bunch of good ones. Even though they do sort of operate as the hot sheets of the anime world.
That's a fact.
Kind of
Also,
kind of stuff.
hashtag C97 on Twitter has a lot of photos of the cosplayers as well.
Right. And once it's over, you can do what everybody else is going to do and rummage in hentai for spoils.
Naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So let me talk about what I've been doing.
Well, hang on, because this is an entire tangent off of this Sentai Filmark sale
First join into the chat.
Yeah,
yes,
we got
indeed. So, what I forgot to tell everyone was to get involved with the show, hit up ntrradio.net. Click on the live chat link. That'll give you the page where you enter your nickname and hit the button to join us in the IRC channel. Alternatively, you can take your favorite IRC client, point it at irc.ryzen.net, and join us in the #SLC Media channel. In addition, you can get at us on Twitter at TAnubis, at VZMK2, at Immortal_KGods, at NTR_Radio, and as always, the email address to get involved with the show is ntrradio@gmail.com.
So come on in, unless you're Movie Bob.
So, the Sentai Filmark sale was ridiculous, by the way. Like,
okay,
whole bunch of this anime dirt cheap. Quite frankly, I didn't quite know what to get at first, but I decided on 3 titles.
This should be good.
First things first, I got the complete Engaged the Unidentified
Blu-ray. Oh yeah, I know you were a big fan of that.
Oh yeah. And then I got the...
I'll be real with you. I hate the title because it's one of those ones I know it's going to get tongue twisted.
Honestly, I'm kind of glad they went with that title for the English release because there's no way I can remember the Japanese title.
Is it one of those ones that just goes on forever?
It's not even that. I just can't remember it, and I can't remember how it's pronounced.
Okay, fair enough.
I just know it started with it, and that's all.
And then I got the limited edition of Girls Last Tour.
Mm-hmm.
And the limited edition of Amagi Brilliant Park.
Ah, so that's why you chose that picture for the promo.
That's a fact.
Gotcha. That is one of my favorite, more recent Kyoani works.
Oh, absolutely, mine too.
It's a little more fan servicey than they usually are. Not that I'm complaining, of course. It's just an observation. They're usually not really too big on that, but that one's a little bit more risque than usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also, Myriad was like that too.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, but nowhere near as good. But that's my opinion. Anyway.
I got Amagi during their sale too, but just the regular Blu-ray.
Yeah, I didn't actually get much in the way of anime over the season, but I did get some other things. I'll go ahead and throw them out here. Somebody might be interested. Got some new, like, between relatives and stuff, usually they'll drop money or clothes or some shit. You know how it is.
Naturally.
Yeah, same thing. I only got money and a gift card.
But one thing I did get that I was really happy about was a couple of music DVDs and the complete House MD Blu-ray set. So I've been wanting it for a while. I'm a big fan of that show, and I've kind of gotten back into it again. Which this is a little bit of foreshadowing because I'm going to be rewatching it relatively soon, and that's actually a very what's the word I'm looking for here? That's important later.
Topical.
Yeah, not the show itself. Rewatching it. You'll understand when we get there. It's one of those kind of deals. So, have you watched anything besides those? Maybe.
I haven't watched anything, but I did start reading. I mentioned a while ago. I picked up the first volume of the light novel Bottom Tier Character Tomozaki.
These titles, man.
No, nothing's ever gonna beat the vending machine one. Come on.
Yeah, clearly the vending machine isekai has won.
Yeah, because I haven't heard one that has conquered that one yet.
I don't know. I'm sure they'll come up with like I'm a used condom in the next life or something.
That would be a very short series.
Yeah.
Yes. So somebody gets reincarnated as a rubber.
A used rubber.
Well, I mean, there is one where the guy gets reincarnated as a hot spring.
Yeah, but see,
that is a real one.
You could be more creative with that one, though.
Well, that's the thing. That's why the vending machine isekai is the best one, because excuse me, a vending machine
in a dungeon
in a fantasy world dungeon. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, that would be like
a hot spring makes sense. It at least makes sense to exist in that world. A vending machine does not.
Well, just imagine you're playing something like Wizardry, one of those Wizardry games, or something, or one of those dungeon crawlers, and
you're playing Ultima.
Yeah, exactly. And you run into a fucking vending machine, and it has like chocolate bars, like Slurpees, or something like that. Like, no, what the fuck?
It's a vending machine, but it has RPG items.
Well, no, that's the thing with the vending machine isekai is the guy can vend anything he bought as a human. So anything he bought in a vending machine, if it's a energy drink or a sandwich or anything he bought as a human, he can vend in the dungeon.
Do you get stat buffs from the stuff?
I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
No. It's just like he has to get out an emergency coat hanger. Okay. That's getting dark.
Emergency are you in?
That's getting really dark. Let's just say I was not in a nice headspace when I said that. Well, he said everything he used in his life as a human.
Okay, so
grape.
I'm really enjoying bottom tier character Tomozaki. It might be the most Iyashike.moe light novel I've read since My Youth Romantic Comedy Is Wrong As I Expected.
Okay, that's saying a lot.
The basic premise, like, this guy's really good at video games, but he's basically also a loser everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And so he meets up with his rival, and his rival turns out to be the most popular girl in school, and she's pissed because the only gamer that was ever a match for her is a loser. So she basically becomes his social skills coach.
Mm-hmm. We should point out something that happened in the last couple of days here that's pretty interesting. First off, you had a very, very interesting encounter earlier. And by interesting, I don't actually mean interesting, I mean annoying.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I put out a tweet promoting an old Iyashike article from around September. The article is Anime Isn't For Everyone, and it's kind of a counter to the Crunchyroll's Anime Is For Everyone in all caps tweet.
Yeah.
And realistically, that's not even the subject. The subject is the fact that in the tweet, I attached a screenshot from an episode of Ori Imo.
Which, for those who don't know, this is a show about otaku. Specifically, the central character, girl, who is an otaku, sort of a secret one, in the sense that, they're also a fashion model or whatever.
Yeah, and a big element of the show is exploring the otaku culture.
Well, and also how people try to suppress it when they're in public.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Versus when they're in private, they just let their this is not nice, but their freak flag fly.
Yeah.
So to speak. And again, I'm just saying it. That's just a turn of phrase. I'm not necessarily saying you're freaks or whatever.
Right, but apparently that got under some people's skin. The specific fact that I used an Emo screenshot as the attachment to this one tweet advertising an article from September.
Let's ignore the point. We got to talk about this header. All right?
And yeah, and that was basically it. It's like, and the whole thing was because apparently Emo is also an incest anime. Well, no, it's the incest anime.
Yeah.
Specifically quoting the person I'm talking about.
Yeah. Cool sauce. You too have read an A&N article or two.
Well, it's like, way to prove my point, guy. Yeah. Oh, we got this article about how, all right, anime is a wildly popular medium, yes, but it also has a culture and a history and a whole bunch of stuff surrounding it that needs to be respected, and the people in the subculture also need to be respected and not cut down for liking the wrong cartoons by intolerant people.
Mm-hmm.
And so the response is hand-wringing over the fact that the incest anime is being used to advertise this article.
But it's better than that, Anubis. It's if you break it down, it's even better because there's literally a thing basically saying, yeah, but we should shun and make fun of these people.
Well, yeah, that's basically the bottom line is that I superficially agree with the stance of this
premise,
article,
but these people need to go.
But I'm really, but I have significant hang-ups about this one anime. So could we?
I'm sure it's more than one.
Well, I'm sure it's more than one, but actually that's a good point, because further on, someone else jumps in and also starts responding, and they give some examples, and let me see if I can find it.
Okay, while he's doing that, we shall entertain you with the songs of the Lollipop Guild.
Here we go. I almost found it. Yeah, okay. So
I'm glad I didn't have to follow that up.
So, here we go. Yeah, okay. It depends. Depending on the way I see it, the article tries to outline that anime is not for everyone if you can't leave fans of specific tropes that could be seen as problematic to enjoy the things in peace. Emo is a good example of a show with a problematic trope. Could have been Monogatari, could have been Goblin Slayer, could have been Monster Musume, or any other ecchi anime. And then dude goes on to respond, I honestly think I would have preferred any of those. So yeah, it is specifically Emo.
Interesting. So is it just butthurt Kuroneko fans? Nah, I'm kidding.
It'd be better if there was that. But it's people who, for some reason, haven't gotten over this hang-up that they've had since 2010.
I mean, it's really weird we're heading into a decade of this show being over, almost. And it still manages to really ruffle the feathers of people that otherwise would be better off just forgetting it existed.
Well, it's like, to be perfectly honest, this is a throwaway. This is, okay, I haven't posted an article to the Yashike Twitter in a while, so
let's revisit an older one.
Let me revisit an old one that a lot of people resonated with, and see if I can get a few more readers on that. And I didn't. Well, to be 100% honest, the reason that I didn't post anything from the article as the screenshot is because I didn't know where I had the Amaki Brilliant Park screenshot that you see in the banner on the article itself, and I didn't know where I stored the Happy Lesson screenshot. That's the one image in the article, the body of the article. So I didn't know where either of those were, but I know where my Aura Emo stuff is. So I posted a thing from the Aura Emo because that's at least relevant. And it turned out to be the correct decision because a whole lot of people retweeted it. A whole lot of people got eyeballs on it, and I guess a big portion of why that happened is because a couple of people like really couldn't deal with the fact that the incest anime was being used to advertise this blog post.
And again, I think people are missing the point that the idea is based around a character who's an otaku that feels like they have to hide it.
Yeah.
They're missing the point of that, and they're also missing the point of the article where it's saying, listen, if you're into the subculture, you're going to encounter things that you don't like. You're going to encounter things that you might find uncomfortable, and if we're gonna coexist peacefully, then it's gonna have to be a requirement that people live and let live. Kind of let people like what they like without having to jump in and say, oh well, using the incest anime as your banner doesn't really help your case.
That's really irrelevant to the point he was making, but
it's
okay.
100% irrelevant, and is 100% irrelevant, and not only that, but actually just proves the article's point. That, okay, there are some people in this subculture who are just intolerant, and
you're one of them.
And that's something we need to talk about. Nobody's talking about it, Buddy Ashike, but every time, my question is, like, why interact? Like, if someone, okay, I'm not the world's biggest fan of Redline, obviously, but if I see Redline in my Twitter feed, I'm not tempted to react to it. I'm not compelled to react to it.
You're not gonna like sneak into it and start like rambling about it, about how much you have a beef with it or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's why.
Well, yeah, there's this weird subsect of fans, and I really almost hesitate to call them that. That can't
voices in the community.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. Voices in the community that, rather than ignoring something they don't like or basically just accepting it exists and filing it under don't give a shit, like most people do, they feel like they have to squash it out of existence somehow.
Yeah, pretty much.
They feel like they need to enforce something.
Like, this needs to be removed. This needs to be purged, like some sort of like an infected limb or something.
Well, it's like whenever something that they find distasteful gets brought up, it needs to be addressed.
I think we should because we're getting way off. Because I haven't talked about what I've been doing.
I would like to hear this.
VZ, go ahead, because I'm starting to get mad.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. No. Listen, I love it when you bring up a good argument, Anubis.
Yeah.
All
I'm saying, the only reason I'm saying it that way is because I don't need to get mad here until the third segment.
Okay. Well, okay. So basically, the season is finishing up. This has been the weirdest season. A whole bunch of like all three main shows I've been watching have had they had like an episode delay and had to do recaps. So apparently, today was the episode 11 of Rifle is Beautiful, and the last episode won't air until January 18.
Damn.
The one Orisuki. Okay, so I won't get into the ending of that personally, but let's just say the ending of that is a cliffhanger. Episode 12 of that was a cliffhanger, and it won't get resolved until the summer with an OVA.
Oh, somebody's not going to be happy.
Wow. Okay, so what really happens is I'm just not going to watch that until summer.
But yeah, wait till it's all done.
Well, it's kind of like Goblin Slayer when they kind of teased you there was going to be more, but there hasn't been yet.
Well, it's kind of like Oregairu, where that just ended on a cliffhanger in the second season, and we're not getting the third season until like 2020.
To be fair, Goblin, not to get into spoiler territory, but Goblin Slayer, you can watch it as a chunk and you'll be satisfied. It doesn't end like tune in next week for what actually happens. It ends, Well,
it doesn't end like Oregairu, where literally the most pivotal decision of the entire series is about to happen, and then it ends.
And then Joni and Chachi got married.
You know how mad that makes me? How pissed I am that I'm enjoying this show thoroughly, and then okay, it's the decision. The decision's about to get made, and then it's over.
Anubis,
at that point there was no third season on the horizon, so I'm just mad.
Would you say you're waiting for the decider?
No,
I'm glad he got that.
So far, Kanagawa Jet Girls is on schedule.
Yep, that's fun. Yeah, I've been a little behind, but I've still been watching that.
One thing I picked up that I didn't know was starting, but because it's only like a half a season's length of a series. The one, show me your panties while I make a disgusted face.
I love the title of that.
Yeah.
It's just wonderfully.
New season of that.
What you see, what you see is what you get on the
exactly.
Like talk about what's on the tin is what you're getting.
I already know what girl Anubis would like. The bookshop girl.
I can just see him like lightly stroking his chin, going, "I'm interested."
I'm for real. I still need to finish the first series of this, so So I got some work to do on that one.
So that's about it for anime. But so I've been back on the Super Sentai high horse.
Okay.
If you've been seeing my Twitter, so I restarted with the 1986 one, Flashman.
I really hope this is not about a flasher.
See, I knew you'd say something like that.
Runs around in a trench coat.
Yeah, and like it plays like the sort of Superman music or something when they like whip it open. Just like show up to random places in public and be like, "Rah!"
See, that was just egregiously unrealized potential, because what we should have said was it plays Flash by Queen.
Not bad. Or it plays the Flashman music from Mega Man 2.
I'm up to episode.
To be honest, that would not work. That music would not work for that. As amusing as it would be.
Yeah, so I'm up to episode 10 of that. It's okay. It's sort of standard Sentai fare. It's average. It's very average so far, but it's still watchable. So I have that. Then I got a 1987 one I already saw, which was Mask Man, which I really liked. At least the action part of that. Also, the Yellow Ranger might be the best female Yellow Ranger ever in that one. Then I got 1988's Live Man. And then I'm skipping 1989 because that one hasn't been subbed. That's Turbo Ranger. Then the big one that I've been waiting to watch. Or I might just skip after Flashman and go straight to this one, and that's 5 Man. In context, that's the one that everyone says is bad. That almost killed Super Sentai.
Ooh.
And can't be confused with Five Guys Burgers and Fries. I'm sorry, I had to do it.
I actually saw some of 5-Man once before, but it was only up to 12 because that was all that was subbed at the time. But now I have the whole thing. You know what's weird is, even though I'm downloading these shows are now coming out. Some of these have been coming out here legally on DVD. They started with Zyuranger. Yes, that's how you say it. They started with Zyuranger.
I'll refrain from joking about that.
Yeah.
Now they've been doing ones. Now they're doing ones that haven't been adapted into Power Rangers, like Jetman, and then they announced that they're going to do 5-Man down the line. And that's the thing that's hilarious. It's like we live in this weird time where like 5-Man is coming out. You know, they ban. It's like we live. It's weird era of like they banned the episode of The Simpsons with Michael Jackson, but at the same time we get the episode of we get all 5-Man.
The weird thing about that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but why did they bother banning that? It's not like people are gonna watch that episode and then like suddenly they're gonna hop in Michael Jackson's car.
No, that's not why. It's because it's seen as supporting. It's seen as supporting. Even though it's a stupid reasoning, right?
Well, but that by that very logic, they shouldn't show any episodes with Apu anymore. Simply because they're like, oh no, that's a racial stereotype. And it's like ignoring the fact that a lot of characters in that show are Tony, anybody, or Groundskeeper Willie.
Or the Italian pizza guy.
Oh yeah, the one who says he's an ugly kid. The kid's an ugly kid.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
It's yeah. It's a real ugly kid.
Yeah, or the East European doctor who's a scam artist.
Dr. Nick, yeah.
Yeah, Dr.
Oh, don't you just love how he used to think? He's like, call him 1-800 doctor. The B is for bargain. And you're just like, see you in the operating place. And you're just like, yeah.
You have bone-itis, where the skeleton tries to leap out of the body through the mouth.
I think that's just a belch. Anyway.
You need a golf cart motor and some,
Yeah, he always has these, like, really weird solutions to these problems, or cuts corners to the point where it would be utterly dangerous or stupid to do.
These gloves came free with my toilet brush.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you're remembering some of these lines, because unfortunately the only ones I could remember offhand were the ones I said.
Yeah, I remember so many Simpsons lines. It's disturbing.
Oh yeah. Well, earlier you posted the Mr. Plow one. That's great. Where he says that, like, I'm a real tightwad with money. Can I afford this incredible program? He's just like, absolutely. My prices are so low, you'll think I've suffered brain damage.
Yeah. You are affiliated with the.
Yeah. You basically, you've been licensed by the state, right, Mr. Plow? And he's just like, shut up, boy. Good old classic Simpsons.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Anything with you, Shinden?
Not too much. Finished up Dr. Stone. There's a few
Oh, what the
past 2 weeks. Really? Yeah, I've been busy with a whole bunch of shit, but I need to get caught up on No Guns Life. And
that's the one where the dude's got a gun for a head, right?
Yeah, it is the most Shiro Naito thing I've ever seen that's not Shiro Naito.
Yeah, that's Madhouse.
Yeah,
I saw that, I was like, yeah.
When I saw that, I was just thinking that. I was like, yeah, this is definitely in the madhouse territory, like sort of where it's trying to appeal to people over here. It seems like, which don't get me wrong, it's an interesting idea. I mean,
you like grizzly main characters and you like guns, so we made your grizzly main character into a gun.
Into a gun, yeah.
Whereas I
As
heard
a-
you like guns. I heard you like guns, America.
Well, yeah, but there's two different ways to do that. You got this, and then you have upate, which is basically for people who want to fuck their guns, right? Or
Upate or girls front line.
Yep.
or what, wasn't that the one he said that about for people who like NRA members that want to fuck their guns? ANN said that.
That was a pate, yeah.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was that or C3 Boo because those
Well,
are really.
C3 Boo was the one where it's this is gun culture because apparently that was like apparently they were supposed to take
not make this show because
Sandy Hook happened.
Yeah.
We got to stop everything.
Over 3,000 miles away.
Yeah, they were supposed to unmake C3 Boo because Sandy Hook happened.
Yeah, or not show it in Japan because America. Fuck yeah. I don't get it either. It's
I
very,
get
very
it.
strange.
It's stupid, but I get it.
Oh, I get it. I get it. I'm being facetious. I get it. I just think it's fucking stupid.
It's just ANN trying to remain topical. I don't really read that much into it.
This was this was even before they were really going full. This was before Trump, obviously. So this is before they were even more ridiculous with some of the woke stuff.
Yeah, this is back when they were semi-relevant as opposed to now when they're 100% irrelevant.
Yeah. Screaming about fascism while they use word filters. I find that amazing.
While running advertorials for cults.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Just fantastic.
If they
it'd be like if they unwittingly supporting like Scientology or something.
Survive past next year, like they're never going to outlive that friggin' cult thing.
No, I think that one's gonna stick. I think.
Chris McDonald just doesn't know how to run a business. He knows how to run his mouth, but doesn't know how to run a business.
Too bad you can't actually eat an otaku coin, because
well, he won't be doing that either because he ran his mouth and a whole bunch of people got on
he said
him.
He runs his mouth, so if you put it near there,
well, here's the thing: the fact that he can't do anything with otaku coin now because he ran his mouth. Because he ran his mouth for years about his political affiliation, so now people expect him to act that way. And so when it shows up in the news that he's on the same board of advisors or whatever as Palmer and Lucky, which is a person who everyone says is a Nazi, which means he's not a Nazi, then people's expectation is, what's my main man Chris McDonald, highly political dude, doing on the same board of advisors as this person who we swear is a Nazi because he supported Trump.
Which I need to point something out that maybe you guys can answer this. It's something that's puzzled me for a long time. Again, not to get it in the political spectrum too much here, but there's no way to get out of it now since this is an inherently political stupid thing there. One thing I don't understand is the people who scream about fascism and all this stuff and openly do so without any repercussions. It's like you do realize that when you're screaming about like the leaders and people in charge of stuff, you disappear in those types of governments, right? You disappear, you're fined or jailed or executed.
Yes, yeah. That's how you know they have no concept of
what they're talking about.
What they're actually talking about.
No, because if Trump was the boogeyman, they said, I mean, whether you like him or not, that's really irrelevant. If he was the boogeyman people were saying he was, a lot of people would be dead or gone or missing somewhere. I mean, all totalitarian governments, whether they be the Third Reich or the Soviet Union or anything like that, one thing they all have in common is that dissidents disappear. they're ratted out by other people and they're shoveled off to gulags or camps or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're not on Twitter constantly calling them a shithead. Okay, I mean realistically, you get a gun in the back of your head.
Try that in North Korea.
Actually, that would be entertaining because the first time somebody fucks up, everybody would see it, and they just shut the fuck up.
Well, they killed a dude for stealing a propaganda poster.
Yeah, I mean,
this guy wanted to own your propaganda, and killed him. Like he apparently liked North Korea's propaganda so much he wanted to own it personally, but they still jailed him and killed him.
No private property, bitches. Well, I mean,
so yeah. So I could spend a great deal of time recounting the tumbling down the stairs that Anime News Network has gone on this past decade, but we'd be here all night.
No,
so it's all Ed 209 trying to climb up going down the stairs.
Since you mentioned the RoboCop, does anybody remember? I think it's the third one where the dude just says "bitches leave" when he's doing.
That's
coke.
The first one. No,
was it the
first one? Yeah.
Is it? I couldn't remember. I knew it was one of them, but
It's the first one. The third one, it wasn't even R rated.
Oh yeah, you're right. They tried to. Yeah, exactly. That just tells you how long it's been since I've seen any of those.
K-fy it.
To put a cap on that, you're not gonna see McDonald eating any otaku coin because he recused himself from that board after people who follow him on social media decided that
to nap at his heels.
Yeah, decided to hold him to what he says because he runs his mouth, and he was not able to get in on this otaku coin scam money making venture.
Now, I know you looked into it. Was it like some kind of Ponzi scheme or some shit?
It's not that it's a Ponzi scheme. It's more so that the way the whole thing is set up is it is really easy for the people who organized it and set this whole system up to funnel it back into their own enterprise.
Right, because we actually did a breakdown of it, and it's been a long time since we did it. But I remember you kind of went step by step, sort of explaining some of the, actually some of the numbers even.
Yeah,
and
to break it down, what I remember of it is there's a certain amount of it that's going to basically upkeep for the infrastructure behind the whole system.
Right.
And then the rest of it is going to like projects to advance otaku culture, anime and whatnot. And what that comes down to is it's really easy to look at some of the projects that some of the American companies involved in this are into and look into it and say, hey, you could consider this contributing to the otaku culture and whatnot. And so it'd be really easy to funnel that otaku coin money right back into the organization that started it in the first place.
Right. And again, we actually did cover this. I know it's kind of retreading, but it's been a while, and I honestly don't remember everything said.
It's been a while going on with otaku coin, and quite frankly, not a whole lot has happened. Not a whole lot substantial has happened with it.
It's not particularly important, other than as a sort of a laugh, really.
Well, to be fair, I only bought from that store once, Tokyo Otaku Mode.
Same here, actually.
I use them constantly. I'm actually part of their rewards program and everything, which actually pays for itself. So
I used to be part of their awards program. I actually need to cash in all those points that I accumulated before they start depreciating.
It's funny you guys bring that up because just recently this year, since I've realized I've been taking a certain airline more than usual, I actually just signed up with them. So I can basically just get points every time I go somewhere. So eventually I'll get like free, probably trips and goodies and stuff.
Oh yeah, I do that with the hotels I stay at Anime Boston, Connecticut, and whatnot.
Right, because, well, it makes sense because if you know you're going there every, might as well cash in on that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what do? You got to give them your email. That's about it. And they basically give you a free thing. I mean, the worst comes to worst, they send you free ads and shit in the mail.
Yeah.
Which might get a little annoying if they start getting ridiculous, but that hasn't happened yet. So I think that's going to wrap up this first thing, unless Shinden wants to kind of add some more 2 cents in here.
Not really. The other thing I've picked up recently, Professor Layton came out with a new game. Apparently it's his daughter. I'm playing that now because I used to be good at puzzle games. Oh, she is adorable.
No, I said Nintendo Switch.
Oh, on the Switch, yeah.
Okay.
Did I say something else?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think you mentioned the system.
Oh yeah, it's on the Switch. Yeah. I keep on calling it the Wii, so I think I'm.
Yeah. It's like how when 2019 is going to end in 2020, like the first couple weeks you're gonna keep putting 2019 when you're signing like dates and you'll be like, again, fucker.
Yeah.
I think that happens to everybody at least for a little bit after the new year rolls in because
it's like when
I'm still signing.
That's when I do my art instead of like VZ 19. It's like, oh wait, I gotta find a new way to draw the 20.
But here's the real question.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be the Roaring 20s?
I hope not.
No, but you'd be happy about the jazz.
I'd be happy about the jazz. I wouldn't be happy about the depression at the end.
Yeah. The stock market crash and the mass suicides out of tall buildings.
Let's not repeat that, please.
And then Germany.
We could be the hentai mafia.
Yeah, and then Germany starts pulling some stuff again, and oh wait.
Yeah.
I think we better go before we piss off any other countries again.
Yeah. We're gonna hit up the break right now. Keep it here on NTR Radio.
We are controlling transmission.
Dual.
We are controlling transmission. We are controlling transmission.
Dual. Dual, 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 dual.
We are controlling transmission.
Dual.
We are controlling transmission.
Welcome back to NTR Radio.
How's it hanging?
Hang 10.
So, we're going to be talking about the art of rewatching.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna go ahead and give you the my thought on it immediately. Here's what you do: you place the disc in the tray, close it, and then press play, and that's when the magic happens.
Well, see, here's the thing. You have to have already done that one time before, at least one time before.
Yeah. Yes, that's the show. No. now you might be wondering, well, why are you talking about that? That's kind of simplistic and that doesn't really seem like a topic. But actually, the more I thought about it, the more it actually is a good topic, because as we become more and more entrenched in seasonal culture, I have a feeling a lot less people are rewatching stuff because of it.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, the equivalent would be like if you only listened to music that came out the year you're in, and not revisiting other stuff.
Right.
I mean, that's how I feel about it, and obviously that's stupid to do. I mean, I would rather watch something I already know I like than just watch something new just to be watching something new. But that's me. I don't know about anybody else, but that's kind of how my mind works. Not because I don't like watching new things, but given the choice between something that just looks okay, I'm probably gonna go watch Shark's Counterattack again, or whatever.
Well, part of my thing is the pace of it.
Okay.
Because like you get caught in this loop of, okay, watching this show for 13 weeks and then it's directly on to the next one.
Right.
No time to let that one that you just watched sit,
Like,
kind of sit, and no time to go back and revisit some stuff that you've already seen.
Right, which I'll just go on record here and point out that that's the main reason I stopped trying to keep up with what's airing at the time. Because if you do, you're kind of allowing yourself to be dictated by whatever's on at the moment rather than what you actually want to watch.
See, that's my problem too, even though that they've been producing a lot that I've been into. And when we talk about the next season, there's going to be some stuff. But at the same time, I agree with your points too. So it's kind of in between.
Like something Anubis and myself did. We went and saw, speaking of this, Shark's Counterattack at the theater.
Yep.
Although you could argue that was slightly different because that's a different venue too. You're seeing it on a much, unless you have a private theater, a much bigger screen and surround sound and all that good stuff.
Yeah, but it's still a rewatch. It is. You're still kind of going back to something you've already seen before, and part of the reason I do rewatch stuff is, so for example, I just picked up Girls Last Tour, Amagi Brilliant Park, and Engaged the Unidentified on Blu-ray. So, perfect time to start rewatching parts of those. Number one, just figure out to see how good the disc quality is and whatnot, how good the dubs are in the case of Girls Last Tour and Amagi Brilliant Park. To watch it kind of in a different format. Number one, to experience the show again, and number two, to check out how good the new format is.
Also, see if it holds up to your original viewing, because
that too.
Like when I said, when I watched Can Memo on the Blu-ray, and I haven't seen the show for like 5 or more years, I was like, yep, it's still as good as when I originally saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're getting at. There are certain shows that honestly don't hold up.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with some, there's certain shows that it's like you watch it that one time through. Like a perfect example, Rifle is Beautiful. That will probably be the only time I watch, because it's really it's kind of average. It's like just Although I do really like the music that they've been doing for the show, but otherwise it just seems kind of one of those shows that once it's done, I'm never going to want to revisit. Not that it's what?
Hmm?
No, it's just not that there's anything necessarily like far wrong, but it's just you kind of accept that with certain seasonal anime. It's like it served. You're watching, but it's certainly not going to want to like own it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's almost a distraction because you're watching it in the moment, but beyond it, you're probably not going to give it much more time.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've kind of stopped liking a lot of shows like that. I've started to sort of just tune out a lot of them. Like, okay, unless I'm really finding something amusing or some sort of guilty pleasure or something, I don't feel the need to have to keep up with it as it's airing most of the time.
Yeah, but on the flip side, there's some shows that you wish you absolutely owned. Like I would love to own Cells at Work, but it's too much right now. It's $140. Or there's just shows that just haven't come out here, like Girlfriend Beta. I'm still waiting for that to come here. You know?
And then you sort of have older shows that, while places like Discotheque and whatnot are picking up stuff and putting it out, there's certain things that are, kind of exist almost in limbo. And for example, take something like Erotsuki Doji.
Oh yeah,
the first movie form of that is available, but that's it.
Yeah,
the rest, the OVA forms and the rest of it, it's not.
Which is really the way to watch Ursuka Doji is the OVA.
Well, yeah, but not just because it's fouler, but because it's but because there's just more stuff going on and it fills out some of the little things.
There's actually more story. There's more because I don't know about you, but I first saw it the way a lot of people saw it, which was the movie version,
the film version. Yes,
yeah,
which it's fine. I mean, you can watch it as a one and done.
But then when you watch the OVA, it's like, oh, there's like way more detail and
things going on. Yeah. And again, I know why that's in the state it is, not only because it's old, but because of its content. It's sort of in one of those things where most people probably did just see the film and that's all they care about. I personally am not that person, but I do have it, and on Blu-ray at that. But you know what I mean? It's one of those things where if you don't know any better, you might not even form of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not really what we're getting at with this show. We're not talking about alternate versions, really. I mean, that's not the idea. The idea is basically re-examining something.
Right. I know there's definitely some shows where the more you watch it, the more you get out of it. Evangelion is definitely one of those shows for me.
Yeah, I mean, I always have sort of a, every time I watch it, it always brings back not only nostalgia because I saw it when I was a budding teenager, but also the same sort of like deeper kind of character interactions. It's like, oh, okay, I have a better idea what they meant now when they did that, because at the time I was just a dumb teenager or whatever.
And you start to notice some stuff in the earlier parts of the show that are kind of foreshadowing what happens later.
Well, yeah, there's that too. There are some shows that have things like that have that Sixth Sense effect where seeing it again, kind of you spot clues and things like that are sort of dangling around in the background. I mean, it's not the only show like that, of course.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of sci-fi stuff's like that. If you're paying attention. But Ava's a good example because it's one that's recently popped back into consciousness because of Netflix. And I'm sure people are seeing it again for the first time in a while, some of them. And I mean, I'd say one of the ones that's kind of a struggle to get through are these long, like, shonen things.
Yeah, or for me, like, really long, like, 50-plus episode robot shows. Those are the hardest to rewatch.
It depends on what it is. Like Zeta or something's easy to watch that way, but something like Mazinger Z is not.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Yeah.
Because Mazinger Z is monster of the week, whereas Zeta is continuing narrative.
Yeah.
In a much less formulaic way.
Although that said, I wouldn't have a problem rewatching some. This isn't anime, but like some Sentai shows that I enjoyed. Just because, again, if you enjoy it once, you'll enjoy it again.
I think something people don't take into consideration when they rewatch things is their own personal mindset when they're doing it.
That
like
too.
because you do have to kind of be in a certain zone to watch things. Because there's certain shows that if you're having a crappy day, you're not going to enjoy watching them.
It's that, and your taste evolves as time goes on.
Yeah, just like anything else.
So, like, back in the day when Dot Hack Sign was on, like, was it Toonami or Adult Swim? I don't remember which one. But back when Dot Hack Sign was on TV in the US, you could not get me further away from Dot Hack Sign. I was not a fan. But then, past couple years, I've been slowly rewatching Dot Hack Sign, and I'm actually really enjoying it. Because I'm looking for something fundamentally different out of it than I was back then when I was a kid. Back when I was more into more action-oriented anime. Now
Right, I
it's
understand.
like, okay, I can appreciate dialogue-heavy anime now.
Yeah,
I like,
it's like
Twilight. What's the one? Twilight Bracelet.
Something like that. Quite frankly, I'm just getting into Dot Hack in the past like 2 years. So
All right.
I can't tell you a single thing about Dot Hack that would make sense.
All right, because when you get to that one, that's the one that I actually kind of enjoyed when it was airing.
Now, let me ask all of you this. I don't know if this is true for you guys, if it is for me, but as I've kind of been into this for a long time, most people, they get more picky, right? I mean, that's just the natural course of things. You get more picky about what you watch, not because there's so much of it out there, and as it becomes more and more, you have limited time and resources. But that's not really the point I'm making. That's just the observation to point out that, however, one thing I've noticed about anime is that I actually like more kinds of shows now than I used to.
Yeah.
I find that's the case with me too.
Yeah,
Like-
me too. You're willing to watch all different.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. I'm willing to watch, I don't know, say something like Shuffle and, I don't know, Appleseed.
I always joke how it's like one moment I could be watching like, a Moe Iyashike show, and then it's like, and then I could watch like a hyper violent 80s OVA, and it's like,
I mean, sometimes you just gotta watch Genocyber,
Well, it's like, here's, and knowing my taste now, here's a list of stuff that's like back from the Toonami era that I wasn't that big on back in the day. Gundam Wing, Robotech. Let's see what else here. Dot Hack I mentioned. I thought the Big O was all right, but I wasn't that into it like I am now.
You just like the redheads.
You're not wrong. Yu Yu Hakusho, which I wouldn't say I'm big on, but I definitely have more of a appreciation for it now.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball I wasn't that into back in the day. So
that's one thing. If you were never into shonen anime, that's get into anyway later. If you're gonna get into it, that's usually early.
Usually, but at the same time, it's like I feel like I'm more patient with some stuff nowadays
than
I was back in the day. Also, back in the day, I was listening to a lot of thought leaders that I definitely wouldn't necessarily listen to nowadays. And they had tastes that rubbed off on me that I later discovered were 100% unfounded.
Well, how about this then?
Code Geass was another one that is like my second or third favorite anime now, but back when it was airing on TV, I was not into it.
Interesting. Huh. It's interesting to me because that was one of those shows I was followed Gundam Seed Destiny. In the kind of the sunrise slot,
Right.
And I was already heavily into the whole kind of being in the moment when that came out.
Right.
Again, years ago, I gave that up because, for one, it's just impossible to keep up with if you actually have a life. I'm sorry, but it's true. If you actually have shit to do, you can't just sit around watching that stuff all day. You can't do it. You got to be selective and watch what you want to watch when you can.
Yeah.
And plus, you might just want to do other stuff. I mean, some of us have other hobbies, whether that be, messing around with model kits or exercising or whatever.
That's what makes it so easy to be into seasonal stuff, is because you don't have to catch up on 80 episodes of this or 30 episodes of that, and you don't have to like have a huge time sink. It's like a once a week. You can just have your torrents, in my case. You can just have your torrents just ready to go. But like it's a little bit more of an effort to actually sit down and rewatch something. So
because you're willingly using that time to watch something you've already seen.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, now granted, if you're just like some hobo or something living in someone else's, on someone else's dime, I guess. I mean, that maybe that's not as, a big of a deal for some people, but
yeah, or you get laid off.
Yeah, exactly. Or fucking
watch through the entirety of part 1, part 2, and part 3 Lupin.
Oh lordy.
Yeah.
That's spending quite a bit of time, because part 2 alone is like 100+ episodes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go.
I like the one where they are searching for something like Hitler's greatest treasure.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's his report cards from when he was in elementary school.
Yeah, I remember that. That's a lot more lighthearted than the Black Lagoon thing, where they're sent out to, find the painting. When they're like, looking under a Nazi sub or whatever to get the painting, and it's got like ties to where all the remaining ones are, have spread out. They're in Spain and all this other shit. Again, just kind of interesting little bits there.
Yeah.
But when you rewatch something, that is sort of the thing. You're willingly using that time you could use to watch something new to something you already have.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the key here, because it says you're interested enough in this to actually go through it again. Now with movies and stuff, that's not as big of a deal, because they're one and done. They're, 2 hours, boom. But you're talking a show with 26 episodes or something. That's a bit of a commitment.
Yeah. It becomes an endeavor.
I mean, some people like to power through them, and I do believe that some shows are better off observed on the week-to-week basis they came out in, and not like jammed in like that. Simply because the ebb and flow works better when you have time to let it stew. I honestly thought School Days was good because of that.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that what makes rewatching things really hard is that like you don't have the community backing you up. You don't have the community like pushing you through it.
Yeah,
or even discussing about what you've seen and waiting for the nice boat.
Exactly.
Well, I tell this to you guys. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
One of the reasons why I like to watch the brand new to get into new stuff is because you know me, I'm one of the ones always about figures and such.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, also I'm a screen cap junkie. I have to so I have to get those screen caps, as
always looking for those Sakugas.
You should have applied to be on what was that, Random Curiosity, because they still do that. I don't know how the fuck they do it, but they do.
But it's also like, will this show have someone that I would potentially want to get a figure of? Mm-hmm. Let me get into it, watch it, so that way, when the figure does go on pre-order, I'm able to secure that.
I can understand that, but
that's my flaw. I don't know, that doesn't work for.
Well, a lot of us have other hobbies too, that are going to either take priority, or we just need to have time for those as well. I mean, you said you're a screen cap junkie. Similarly, I am a music junkie. I listen to it pretty much all day long.
See, I need to become a screen cap junkie, because so here's the process. I write an Yashike article, and then I get pissed because I have to go find screen caps that are relevant to the article.
Yeah.
It's the worst part of writing all these articles.
See, I have a feeling that if I did that, I mean, it wouldn't be appropriate for yours because yours is a bit more friendly than that. But like, if it was mine, I would probably I'd probably do the thing that Wombat used to do, where he would just post the most foul shit he could find, just like as a thing. It'd just be like some chick taking it in the butt from a like pneumatic press or something. You know, just weird stuff like that. You know, it has nothing to do with the or anything. It's just kind of an eye catch.
There's a gimmick Twitter account that is posting every single frame from the Little Witch Academia series.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of see things like that, and I'm like, I wish that all of the anime had something like this, because it would just make things a lot easier for just finding screen caps and shit like that.
Oh, easily.
Well, I mean, that's why, you know, places like 4chan and the Japanese board
yeah, I mean, you can find a lot of. Now, when you watch stuff, one of the things I like to do, and I don't know about anybody else, but and it might depend on which player you're using, but at least with mine, you can basically get it to where it'll make automatic thumbnails for you.
Huh.
Yeah, and you can kind of choose the size of them and how many you want, like row columns, and even how intermittently it is with taking the pictures. And again, you can pretty much set it up however you like. I'm almost certain that's how the random curiosity people do that. I would think. I mean, they probably don't use the same viewing app that I do, but I'm sure it has a similar function.
Just to end up with smear frames for the entire episode.
That would be terrible. I don't think that's ever happened. But you know, occasionally you'll get one that's just nothing but white light or something like that, because you just happened to catch it when it was doing a transition or something.
Yeah. that's the thing is that...
or it was just a porn scene that ended.
Well, here's another thing, an excuse to rewatch something. When something gets, this is mostly for older anime, when something gets a Blu-ray transfer.
Yeah, because then you'll see like how much better it looks and how clean it looks and all that.
I've seen some extremely clean screenshots of Azumanga Daioh, and I'm wondering where that releases.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll see stuff and it'll be like, "What the fuck? It doesn't look like that."
Yeah, which is why I got so pissed.
That I got ripped off.
Yeah, well, the Lucky Star Blu-ray release here.
Yeah, yeah, but that's basically. Never mind. I'm not gonna get into that again.
That is sitting on my shelf completely unopened right now, and I keep on hearing bad things, but I don't know what specifically is bad about it.
Okay, so basically, what's that word, Anubis? Anti-aliasing?
Aliasing.
Aliasing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the line, for some reason, this is both on the Blu-ray and DVD of that, it's, the lines are like that. And I'm sitting there, why? Because the Bandai release of the DVDs weren't like that. And apparently I heard the Japanese release was like that too, but so the only way to have a decent looking version in high definition is to like just download the fan sub, which they post-processed.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard all kinds of, and it's really interesting because that's one of the things about anime is fans are so obsessive. If there's a fucked up release like that, you will know about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, nobody made a stink about it. That's the thing that annoyed me. Is like, why?
I mean, because they did with Sailor Moon.
Yeah. Well, listen, you fuck Sailor Moon up, people are going to.
Well, and the thing is that was so stupid. They're like, oh, we're not going to fix it. You do realize Sailor Moon is just going to print you money, right?
Well, they said, what is it? Encoders on steroids. That was on.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that was that time they were on ANN Cast, Viz's people.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. As opposed to hackers on steroids. remember when Fox said that about 4chan?
Hackers on
steroids. Attack. Die. It was ridiculous.
Blow up
They
the
get what they're
van.
called LOLs. LOLs is a corruption of LOL.
LOL. Yeah.
Now the
Yeah,
question is,
that was so bad.
has the media changed at all since then? And the answer is absolutely not.
No.
Well, I love how like 4chan, the view of 4chan went from being far left to being a far right, and it's like you realize it was never either of those.
Well,
no, secret boards.
Yeah, secret websites.
Yeah, secret websites. It's like
no. The fact that you can like just dial it in Google and go there means it's not very secret.
the only one that ever got actually shut down was 8chan.
Yeah, that actually, I don't remember completely all about it, but I did remember it getting shut down.
That was because they were hosting the shooting in Sydney. Was it?
Oh yeah. That whole thing, and they basically were DDoSing it nonstop, right?
I don't know.
I can't remember something about that.
As far as
I mean, I never used it, so
Neither did I.
it was, I don't really know much about it because I never used it either, but it seems like as if it was like the image board equivalent of Reddit, where you could just make your own image board and moderate it yourself.
That's pretty much what the concept was, yeah.
right,
That
and it
the
didn't have like
stupidest
the
thing I've
same,
ever heard in my life.
and they didn't have the same kind of rules either. So, which is something they touted, just like Gab or some shit says it's a free speech platform.
Oh bullshit!
And they basically are just now a bunch of Christian doofuses, screeching about like, oh, that's not speech. We should be allowed to say racial slurs, but you can't host porn.
Yeah,
We're a
that's
free
the whole
speech
thing, is
platform.
that
It's like we determine what speech is.
it's okay for children to be indoctrinated into like some sort of extremist racial identity, but God forbid if they see a tit.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that too, and it's just like, and it was funny because people started calling them out on this, and like instead of like just admitting what they actually are, they started doubling down and trying to basically use a bunch of sophistry to get out of it. It was really bad. Like, it's like, oh, that doesn't count as speech. It's not recognized as speech. Funny, it's not illegal. It seems to be protected under current laws. Just because you don't consider it doesn't mean that they didn't.
It just goes to show, don't expect people to advocate for your own rights. Yeah, you
No.
need to advocate for your own rights because
Let's-
they're not going to do it. As soon as your shit beaches itself against whatever they're against, they're going to get mad at you.
Yeah, and it's not going to be a ha-ha thing. Actually not going to like you. It's one of those, what's the old saying? You can't trust freedom when it's not in your hand. Almost sounds like a fucking Skittles commercial or something, but taste the freedom instead of taste the rainbow.
So, you ever rewatch something on accident?
Oh yeah, and then be like 3 episodes in and then go, fuck, I've seen this before.
Well, I'm saying like sit down to like watch a couple episodes or a particular scene out of a show and then
end up just sitting there and watching the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yep.
8 hours later, I'm 24 episodes into Nadesco, and I'm like, whoa, what happened?
That happens with movies a lot too.
That happens with me with specifically Gundam Unicorn.
Oh, it's like oh, I want to see the scene where Char's flying through the asteroid field.
It was like I want to see the Xeon raid on Torrington.
That's like me,
and then
a bunch
hours
of,
later, I'm watching the end. I'm like, whoa, what happened?
That's like me and a bunch of OVAs, because a bunch of OVAs can be found on like YouTube because nobody cares about, there's like nobody owns the license to those things in Japan. So it's like,
well, it's like a perfect example of that is, again, I mentioned it in the kind of not outtakes, but yeah, when we were away, I mentioned Die Hard. That's one of those movies. where I'll just kind of pop in and it'll be on a specific part, and then I'll end up just staying for the rest of the ride. Another movie like that happens a lot is what the hell is it? I'm completely forgetting the name of it, but ends up happening all the time with certain movies. I mean, whether those be the original Star Wars trilogy, or Lord of the Rings, or whatever. Anything like that usually manages to do it. The original Terminator.
It happens for me with Otaku no Video as well.
Mm-hmm. Like, another good one I can throw out there is Ricochet with John Lithgow and Denzel Washington, I think. Yeah. It's pretty good. You don't normally see John Lithgow in a as a bad guy very often, as an antagonist or anything like that.
Oh no, you could say
a big one. Accidentally, you're watching Nichijou, because all of the parts of Nichijou I don't know if they still are, but they used to be on YouTube.
Yeah, that it's like I never actually rewatched the full show, but I've rewatched skits from the little bits of the show.
Exactly, and I couldn't find a certain scene on YouTube, so I ended up like rewatching the entire series.
You know what somebody needs to do? I know why they have, because it would probably get copyright struck to hell, but I wish somebody would do it anyway. Is to upload the entirety of those Celebrity Jeopardy skits from SNL.
Some of them are on there.
Yeah, but they're usually just sort of fragmented and not really put together. Same thing with those like Bill Brasky riffs, which is in reality sort of where the Chuck Norris jokes and stuff really came from. That whole Bill Brasky was a son of a bitch. You know, he would do X, Y, Z, thing or whatever. And it's always these outlandish, kind of ridiculous things that they continue to do with people like Vin Diesel. Like one of the things I remember, he sired a baseball team, an orchestra if you count the bastards. Just stuff like that, silly stuff. He had a 4-day heart attack, one for each chamber. I do believe that's pretty much where all those Chuck Norris style jokes really did start, because it's that kind of humor. And to be honest, I always thought that those were funnier with Vin Diesel. for the same reason Anubis would probably say so, because his name is Vin Diesel. That alone makes it more absurd to me.
So, am I the only one that rewatches certain episodes of certain things? Like around Christmas time, I watch a bunch of Christmas episodes of like certain shows.
Not tied with a particular time of year, but every now and again I'll watch particular episodes of particular anime. Like, I don't even know if I can come up with an example off the top of my head.
February, you watch School Days?
No. I only did that once, and I hated every second of it.
For those who don't know, and for noobs, you actually can go back in time a bit and watch and go look at that, and it's very entertaining because he did it one a day basically.
One episode a day for the
and
first
you can
however many days of February.
Right, and you can increasingly see him getting more and more with every episode because there's more foul language, yelling.
Wait until you do Orisuke.
I have a hard time believing that I'd be more pissed about Orisuke than about School Days. Just because School Days was
that much of
infuriating
of a fuck you. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty entertaining, and that's one that I really do want to watch again here.
I do need to rewatch as much shit as I just talked about it. I do need to rewatch School Days.
Can't get away from the pain.
What really happens is I need to pick that up on Blu-ray.
Yeah, because I only picked it up originally on DVD and didn't pick it up. I didn't upgrade it yet.
I might see if I can find it at Anime Boston.
Yeah, it's just a matter of I haven't gotten around to it. One of those things where I consider upgrades to be less important than just having stuff in some form.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been trying to upgrade some of it, like, the Gundam stuff. A lot of it I have, but I'm kind of moving over to Blu-ray now.
There's a couple I've upgraded. I've upgraded Strike Witches.
Oh yeah, me too.
I also upgraded Clannad.
Mm-hmm.
So Clannad is also due for a rewatch as well. It's been a long time since I actually finished Clannad.
I love the fact that you're, the things you're about to or considering rewatching are things that are going to put you in a questionable mood.
What? No, I mean, there's a reason that I haven't watched any of those shows in a long time. Been several years since I finished either of them, and there's a very good reason for that. Like, listen, I can watch any arc of Amagami SS at any point in time, and I'll be fine with that. That'll be a good experience. School Days, Clannad, you need to prepare yourself for that.
Yeah, because that's what I like to call the war in the pocket thing, where
war in the pocket as well.
It's like, okay, I am going to be utterly depressed after this is over, and it's going to probably bother me for some time. And I know this.
It's like, are you in the right headspace to receive bad news?
Yeah. It really is. I mean, it's exactly it, pretty much. It's like, because if you're not, this might be a bad thing to watch. There's certain TV shows that were kind of like that, too. Usually your more dramatic stuff, obviously.
Shuffle, which I still never finished.
Yeah. That one's not quite as severe.
Not for you.
Well, no, in general, it's just not. I mean, it's again, you can't really explain why without jumping into spoilers and things like that.
All I'm saying is I had a significant problem with how they treated Kaede.
Dun, dun, dun. For some reason, I don't know why, but I was thinking of another one I like to rewatch a lot because it's funny, which is always a reason to rewatch something. Would be like Fumofu or Golden Boy.
Yeah, Full Metal Panic Fumofu is one of those shows that I rewatch particular episodes of, just because they're that good.
They're fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
The one where they're on the beach and he ends up scaling the cliff fucking kills me.
I love the one with the rugby team.
Oh yeah, where they parody Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, that good stuff. But again, and that holds up well because the comedy does.
Yeah.
The comedy's not so topical as to where like 10 years from now it won't be funny.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because of it. And again, not something I associate with Japanese humor, really, but it has sort of that pow-pow, almost slapstick quality to it.
Yeah.
Almost Three Stooges-like in a way. Because, like, the way there'll be sudden stops or, like, deadpan answers and things like that are just really funny. Just because they're awkward. Or timed funnily.
Or, like, just straight up ridiculous.
Right,
like
yeah.
The one time
he blows up the shoe locker.
Well, like the bomb in the shoe locker, but like the one time they're actually playing the rugby game, and dude hits the guy, flies through the air, lands behind him, and then the rugby dude, who was literally the nicest guy at the beginning of the episode, looks behind him and is like, "Damn it, he's still alive."
Yeah. Just yeah, that's again, I was just trying to drag out some examples. I think comedy, like especially ones that aren't tied to like stupid political jokes of the day, tend to work really well upon rewatching because the humor keeps you coming back.
I was like, that's one reason why Nadesco's my second favorite anime, and why I keep coming back to it is because it's just so hilarious. The humor just works so well, regardless of however many times I've actually seen it.
I mean, a show I like a lot is SYD.
I still need to finish that one.
The humor in that is, or its more modern equivalent that some of the newer people might have seen more likely is Shimoneta. Similar kind of like raunchy humor. That one is, again, probably a little more familiar to people that are newer into anime, maybe. Simply because I don't know, I still see it here and there. I still see pictures and people talking about it and poking jokes that, it's actually happening and things like that. Where you're not allowed to make, messed up jokes and whatnot.
Yeah.
They have a point. Well, it's funny. A couple, like several weeks ago, I was rewatching, just because I was in the mood. One of your favorites, K-Gods, Denpa Onna Teseishu no Toko.
Oh yeah, I am actually. I'm gonna go on record and probably get flayed by my friends for this, but I actually like that show more than Monica. Sorry,
that's fine.
I'm actually not surprised. To say nothing of either show, I'm actually not surprised about that.
Well, the thing is I think a lot of people liked Monica because I mean, it's just a good show. It's a great show.
Listen, I love Monica as well, but
I think a lot of the hype train was part of that. And like, if you were a fan of Shaft Studios before that came out, you were less ensnared by it, I guess.
Well, that's the thing. We were all kind of fans of Shaft before that,
and so like the weirdness angle wasn't surprising to us.
Yeah. Well, it was like Umioki doing a magical girl show, and that's all you had to say for me.
Well, yeah. All you had to do was say it was like grim, dark Hidamari sketch. Kind of, because that's visually what it opened me of.
Yeah.
But Denpa Onna has a couple things going for. I like the kind of whole. I just like the atmosphere of it.
But it's also that kind of it's that type of comedy where it's like you had one sane person surrounded by
people who are not.
Yeah.
I mean,
and like.
But really, isn't that pretty much Haruhi though too?
Kinda.
Kion's kind of the normal guy, sort of.
Yeah.
Where everybody else around him is really weird and eccentric. And it's also one of the few times the dub actually did manage to make his deadpan nature seemingly work for me. Just because he actually is like that.
Yeah. Also, who can't forget Meme?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna mention that, but yeah, too. Just saying. But then again, I also like what's her name from Kanon? Akiko, right?
Yep.
Akiko, yeah.
Yeah.
Which the same circle is still doing those dojins, from what I understand.
Dedication.
Yeah, like it's like Mogudan in the sense that he still does all the like Ray stuff. And I know this because I follow him on Twitter now. And he just posted one not that long ago. So if you've ever seen a really thick, wide version of Ray,
apparently in English, an art book of his is coming out, but it's obviously not gonna have like Ray in it.
Yeah, I think Faku's doing that.
Yeah, so I don't write stuff like a pre-order.
This interests me. But just for shits and giggles, I'll go ahead and
Mogudan Illust Works coming out by Faku.
Mm-hmm. He did a hentai too. Was like about nurses, I think.
It was maids, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember. I remember seeing somewhere because you can't miss it. It's distinct. It's one of those ones where you will know. Well, he's posting stuff at Comic Market right now, actually. So, there you go. Good stuff. Anyway, to kind of guide it back to not talking about Mogadon. One of the big deals with rewatching something, again, is really depends on if it's a TV series or a movie or VA, because, again, time. You're investing a certain amount of time, and if it's a long series, even more so.
Yeah, some shows are definitely more conducive to rewatching than others.
Right, I mean, because let's be real here, even if you say Dragon Ball Z or One Piece or something, it's probably not going to be so easy to just go, hey, I'm going to watch all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tall order. That's a lot of material. Now, granted, if you're that big of a fan, go nuts, of course. I mean, no one's telling you not to. But, I mean, I think more on average, you're going to see less of that.
Right. And it's like, so every now and again, I might rewatch an arc of Amagami SS or an arc of Seiren. Just because those shows are so they're rewatchable. It's like, okay, 4 episodes, and that's basically a self-contained story, and you're done.
A really perfect example of something that's endless, because it's only 6 episodes.
Which one?
Fooly Cooly.
Yes.
FLCL.
I've seen that.
Just,
I had to have seen that about at least 10 times at this point.
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm saying. Is it's so short. You can just kind of. I mean, you can marathon it in one sitting. It's not hard to do, or if not, over a week, just casually watch an episode here and there.
Like a lot of those short OVAs, like 6 episodes, 4 episodes.
Those are almost endlessly rewatchable.
Yeah, Alien 9 is a good one.
All the Gundam stuff. I mean, works really well because again, it's short and it looks nice. Again, you mentioned Unicorn, which is 7.
Yep.
Although
those are long, so
those
that's
are
kind
long.
of,
Yeah,
in between.
I mean, the same thing with Origin for that matter.
Yep.
And you definitely should see it, but
Origin is one of those ones that I'll rewatch one episode at a time, and like specific episodes too. Like I've seen Origin episode 3 quite a few times at this point.
Yeah. I know what you mean. And then there's I'm trying to think of something that's well, he mentioned Lupin. Shinden mentioned Lupin the Third earlier. And that's a good example because not only is it still ongoing, but like Green Jacket, the first one was 26 episodes or something like that.
It's somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, whereas like part 2 is huge. It's like well over 100 episodes. And then there's 3, which was that Red Jacket or was that 2? I can't remember.
Pink.
Okay, Pink. Thank you. And again, wasn't that one shorter than the second one though overall?
I believe, yeah. I think it was. I'd have to look it up, but I remember it being a lot shorter, like significantly shorter. But that doesn't. That could be like 50 episodes, and it would still be significantly shorter.
Right, because part 2 was really, really big.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's not something you can just sit down. It's like, oh, I'm gonna watch Lupin the Third Part 2 this weekend. No, you're not. Not unless you're also planning on putting one of those things on your head that that has like the beer cans on them, and also having like one of those portable toilet things or whatever. Because that's a little more time than you have in the day.
Yeah, like I said, it's a good thing to watch if you're laid off.
Yeah, and again, it really depends. Some shows are some material is a lot more what's the term I want to look? You're favorable to marathoning too.
Oh yeah.
Some stuff just doesn't work really well in marathon form, and whereas other stuff actually works pretty well. A lot of a lot of those longer shonen ones, it's almost just how much can you take before you're just like, okay, I'm done. Even if it's something you like, you're just kind of like, okay, I'm burnt out.
High energy, like short format high energy is good for a rewatch, which means that pretty much everything Trigger did, especially Imaishi stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have like high energy, like 24 episodes of something. So that's Gurren Lagann, that's Kill la Kill.
Both shows I'm very familiar with and like quite a bit.
Yes. Yeah, and I know several people in my sort of friends group who will watch Kill la Kill or Gurren Lagann. Like, they will rewatch it once a year.
Yeah, I could understand that.
Yeah. For me personally, I only have watched Kill la Kill all the way through twice, and that was when it first aired, and another time about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, yeah. But like other than that, I just like I want to just calm myself down and not see it for a while before I get back into that stuff. Yeah.
Right. And there's that too. It's sort of, I know this is weird. It's almost like some sort of denial of self-gratification or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't want to
like spoil your dinner kind of shit or something.
Yeah, you don't want the effect to wear off like it's a drug or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly. That's why you don't see me watching Macross Plus every week, because I would, but
then we'd have
too
to
good.
But that then we'd have to start like putting it on the same realm as fucking opioids or something.
That'd be like eating cake for every meal. It's like, oh, this is really good.
Yeah.
But then I wouldn't appreciate it anymore.
But then 50 pounds later, and
I'm getting that Kill la Kill rewatch in since I dropped $150 on it recently.
Yeah, there you go. That's the reason to rewatch Kill la Kill.
Well, sometimes you just get the bug. You know what I mean? You get this like weird itch, and sometimes it's about a show that's completely random. Like you'll be like, I don't know why, but I gotta watch this. Like I'll throw something out there just kind of random. It's like you're sitting there one day, you roll out of bed, you do whatever, you eat your Cheerios or whatever whatever you got, bacon. And then all of a sudden you just have this ding in your head and you're just like, I gotta watch Aura Battler Dumbine for some reason. I don't know why.
Or, you're preparing your breakfast and a pan falls on your head and you're like, I want to watch Endless Eight again.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is the only scenario in which anyone will ever utter those words in the same sentence.
I don't know. Maybe if you get shocked while plugging something in and it shoots you across the room and you're in a daze or something.
I watched it one time because they got away with it. Never again. They got one out of me because they got one out of everyone because they got away with it.
Yeah, pretty much. And then
is that I've seen Endless Eight multiple times.
Oh boy. If you've seen it once, you've got some problems. If you've seen it twice, you probably shouldn't have done it. If you've seen it 3 times, you have to be checked into an insane asylum before you kill someone.
Wait, here's the thing. If you've seen it once, you've seen it 8 times. So what really happens is if you've seen it 3 times, you've seen it 24 times.
So that's the 3rd season of Haruhi.
So you've watched an entire anime. You've
like
watched 24 episodes of an entire anime, the same show.
Guys, I've got it. It's the Mobius strip of anime.
Oh god.
Think about it.
Got a friggin' MC Escher of anime.
Yeah, exactly. It's like fucking crazy there. Like, and the thing is even if you don't know the name of that, everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you just kind of say that, like, they're like, oh, okay, the one where they don't go anywhere and they're just kind of everywhere. It's kind of like the one tuning fork looking deal where it looks like there's 3 prongs, but there's not. Yeah. By the way, if you ever find you like those, start getting into those 3D pictures where you can stare across the room and you have to look past them to see them.
Oh, the magic eye pictures.
Yeah, that's what those are called. Yeah. When I was a kid, I never could see those because
never mind.
I mean, I can now, but when I was a kid, when people tried to get me to see them, I was like, I wasn't doing what you were supposed to do. I was too focused on it. I wasn't looking kind of past it to where it's like almost in your peripheral. Yeah, so I would never, trying to tell a kid to do something. It's like, do this. No, I want to do that. So again, watching, and let's say, season 3. Interesting.
It's as close as you're gonna get. Since
sadly.
somebody couldn't keep her hands off of her bandmates.
You ever rewatch something or want to rewatch something because you're convinced? Okay, I didn't like this the first time, but let me see it one more time. If
and you're like, it can't be as bad as I thought.
Yeah, because I want to one day rewatch the movie Psychic School Wars,
which, by the way, is a flawed argument because that's like something you don't like to eat, and you don't like it. It's sort of like the candy corn thing, where like if you don't like candy corn, you can try it every year, and it's still gonna taste just like it did the last year. I mean, that was the old Lewis Black bit, where he said that all the candy corn ever made was made in like 1911, and then like every year they'd pick up the leftovers and bring it back, and he's like an Alzheimer's patient. You're sitting there, candy corn that tastes like candy. I can't wait.
I think they just made it out of birthday candle wax, honestly.
I'm glad you didn't say earwax.
The consistency is similar.
Yeah.
But no, I
just use birthday candle wax, yeah.
So here's the thing. I watched Redline twice before reviewing it. Just because I watched it the first time, and then I was looking at it, I was like, am I just being really hypercritical based on what other people have said about this show, what other people have said about this movie, and I'm just being a dickhead about it? And I watched it another time, I'm like, no, it really is that slow and boring and stops right in the middle.
I was gonna say, did you fall asleep?
No, unfortunately I didn't fall asleep. But no, I watched Redline twice. I decided I'd give Redline a second chance before reviewing it, which I've never done with an anime I've reviewed before, by the way. I had that exact thought. It's like, okay, either I missed something or I'm being like negatively influenced by what other people have said about this movie. So I watched it again just to make sure that it was actually as boring and slow as I thought it was initially.
I'll tell you something that happened too with me. I've tried it multiple occasions and I've never done it. I'm pretty sure you have, but I've not ever done it. I've never made it through Divergence Eve all the way.
I've 100% completed Divergence Eve. Now, I have not completed Misaki Chronicles, even though I own it. I probably never will, actually, to be fair.
And it's like, the thing about that show is, what's weird about it to me is, on paper, I should like it. Think about it. It's like, okay, it's sci-fi, and you're being bombarded by tits the entire time. I don't see a problem here.
It's like, normally it wouldn't be the problem, but the specific juxtaposition of those two elements in that particular anime. It's like they came up with those designs for a completely different anime, those character designs, and then decided halfway through, let's make a really serious sci-fi anime out of this.
Right, and the weird thing about this, and we've kind of tossed this about before, we've actually said that we think it was probably originally intended for some sort of hentai.
I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that's what happened. Is like someone else came up with the designs for a completely different kind of anime.
Right, because it looks like something you would see in a fun kind of lowbrow ecchi. Just happens to look kind of nice.
That's like the same reason, like the same thing that kind of happened with like the show Rail Wars. You ever seen that?
that was the sigh of frustration there.
Yeah. So, the thing about Rail Wars,
Here's a story.
Rail Wars was pretty much like, as far as I can tell, it was based on just this like really, really decent art that this guy was making of these girls who were like doing different things around trains and stuff. And I was super into that because I was super into the trains and super into the girls. But the whole thing with Rail Wars is they forgot to add the train porn. So it ended up just being the girls. And it was just like, oh,
which is
cool.
fine if it's just like a collection of images, I guess, or something.
Exactly, yeah. But they just didn't put the effort into the train shit, and that's like what I was watching it for, and I just ended up dropping it like
This
halfway
is false
through.
advertising.
Exactly. Like, if you made like later on, I gave in, and it was just like, okay, if you make the ships into girls, that makes it okay. Or with Haifuri, they had an equal thing of good ships and good girls. But when you just have titties bouncing around on a train, it's just like it's 1 or 2 episodes and you're done. You can't get much out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just the most.
I don't mind titties bouncing around, but for some reason, it's just that one was kind of like,
I don't know, like I don't even know how to phrase what I think's wrong with it.
One of the characters is just Mikuru from Haruhi. It's
yes,
Yeah.
it's wholesale.
Well, I mean, it's interesting you point that out because, I mean, I've done that before too. I've watched a show to think this can't possibly be as bad as I remembered it. I was just in a bad mood or something, and of course, then you prove yourself wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, nope, this might actually be worse than I remember.
Have you ever had the opposite happen though?
Sure.
Yeah. Panty and stocking for me.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think like the shit monster really turned me off. But then shortly after that aired, I came down with ulcerative colitis, so like shit monsters aren't the worst thing.
Jesus Christ.
Ouch.
Yeah, that took a dark turn. But yeah, I think like my main thing was I just didn't see an appeal to the art style or anything. But then after a while, I stopped being such a friggin' elitist about the shit, and I actually started to enjoy it.
That's another one of those shows that gets by on its humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really funny in that sort of. I mean, when I think of Japanese humor, I don't usually think stuff that's as crude as that show. But
yeah,
I mean, when I think of Japanese humor, I think of wordplay and puns and awkward sort of like silences and perverted jokes and stuff.
Yeah, and also what's that word when you're
falling over and grab a boob.
Well,
yeah.
Misunderstandings. That's it.
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of Japanese humor is like somebody walking in on something bad and it's not, or saying something and it just kind of comes off wrong.
That's how they got two seasons of School Rumble, I guess.
I've actually seen that. Yeah. There's a lot of, well, to be fair, I mean, there actually is some interesting things that do happen in that show. Like the one girl and the teacher.
Mm.
You know, it's sort of more than hinted at. But yeah, one ruffian guy, name escapes me at the moment, is trying to get with the cute main character, and like he's completely screwing it up.
And the cute main character is trying to go after
this really dull fucking character.
He's a hot dog bun.
Yeah. I mean, he's has like hardly no personality whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which is weird
right back
because
for 1 sec. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, it's weird because there are other characters like that don't really have much in the way of personality. I've always thought that way about Tatsumi from Akame ga Kill.
Mm.
Like, it's like the show is built around the strength of all the girls. and he's just sort of like, well, he's the protagonist and he fights for justice and right and all that crap, but like has not much of a personality really, and so is sort of forgettable. Even though I like the show a lot, just because of some of the basic ideas on it and whatnot, designs. But there are some shows like that where it's like, hey, this show was interesting, but I wasn't in the mood for it at the time. That's bitten me a few times.
Yeah.
Where it's like, when it first was out and it was being hyped, I just wasn't interested because I was in a different headspace and I had other things to do or this and that. But then one day I'll be bored. I'm going to watch that. I always meant to.
Eureka 7 was like that for me. Because when I first watched it when it was airing on Adult Swim, number one is that I caught it like in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
So I didn't quite know what was going on. And for something like Eureka 7, you kind of need to know what's going on.
Yeah, there's certain types of shows where you just can't just be dropped in it and figure out necessarily how it got there.
Yeah.
But I actually picked it up back again pretty recently, earlier this year, as a matter of fact, because a good friend of mine, it's his favorite anime of all time.
Interesting.
So I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, that's enough. Unless it's like something I know I'm not gonna like. If it's something ambiguous, because like I sort of knew why I couldn't get into Eureka 7, and what it comes down to is I hadn't had time to get acquainted with all the characters, so I was kind of going in blind and didn't know what was going on at all. So I started all the way from the beginning, and I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. I understand. I'm starting to understand these characters. I'm starting to understand exactly what's going on in this world and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
that was a show that I didn't like at first, but when I started it back up again, I started to understand what's going on and started to like it a lot more. Dot Hack Sign is another one I mentioned earlier. Code Geass is one that I touched on. This one that, again, I didn't know what was going on in the middle of it. And I'll tell you what got me to rewatch that was I liked C2, the character.
Yeah.
I knew it's like, I have to find out about this girl. I have to find out what's going on with this girl. And so I started Code Geass from the beginning.
Green hair, got a nice big butt.
Well, so it was that one episode where it's the battle for Narita, and it's like right before stuff's about to pop off, and you see that interaction between Lelouch and C2, and I'm like, I need to find out what's going on with this girl. And so I watched all of Code Geass, and it's now like my third or fourth favorite anime.
When I first saw it, I tried to that character, again, not to get too into it, but when I first saw that show, my first thought when I saw that character is, okay, this is a Rei Ayanami sort of character, and that's not actually true at all.
No.
You sort of the quiet, mysterious thing. I mean, that's kind of true, but not really. She's actually pretty spunky and mouthy, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't expect that after you first see her, because it's, again, mysterious, has a soft-spoken kind of voice, but then you see her like chowing on pizza and like walking around in the background where she's not supposed to be there and shit. Just very different than you might have been expecting.
It like, what's great about it is like that all makes sense for her character.
Oh, it
like,
does.
She's someone who literally has no reason to give a fuck.
Yeah, pretty much. And again, we can't tell you why.
Right.
But, well, we could. We're just not going to.
Find out for yourself. It's worth it.
Yeah. Right. And again, that's an interesting show, too, because that's more than one season. And that makes it rewatching it a little bit tricky, too, because again, you're setting yourself up for the long haul.
It's a little bit tricky, but they also have the compilation movies now.
Right, and I'll be honest with you, most of those don't usually do it for those type of things. I mean,
I haven't seen the completion of all 3 of the compilation movies. I've watched a bit of the first one. And my prejudiced opinion on it is that it's going to be a little bit like the Zeta Gundam compilation movies.
Oh, okay. So I'm not gonna bother.
Well, because it has the same problem that Zeta Gundam had that Mobile Suit Gundam didn't, where Mobile Suit Gundam's still coming off of that super robot anime paradigm, where it's still kind of a Monster of the Week show. It just has some very significant things happening every so often, in every few episodes or so. Something very significant happens.
And because of that, you can excise certain things in the original, at least.
Exactly. Like we don't need the Zaccarello fight. It doesn't need to be there.
There's
if we're talking
things
about
like
very, very significant things that happen in Mobile Suit Gundam, the Zaccarello fight is like below the threshold. But as
no
far
Gan
as
fight.
no, the Gyan is below the threshold too.
Because you don't like the Gan.
It's a terrible design. I'm sorry.
Why? Because
But
it has the thing in its shield.
Because and to go over this again, because it stores all its ordnance in the thing that's supposed to protect it from gunfire, from direct gunfire.
Yeah, but they weren't really thinking that. They're thinking, "Oh,
Yeah,
cool weapon."
Of course, they weren't thinking that. They weren't thinking at all when they designed the Gan. But that's beside the point. The difference between that and Zeta Gundam, and the same problem, quote unquote, that I believe Code Geass has, is that something significant happens in every episode.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it's been a little while since I've went through Code Geass. The last thing I saw was the film.
Code Geass kind of has some gag episodes, but even those are important for establishing character.
Like the one where Lelouch is chasing down the helmet with
Fucking
the cat.
Yeah. It's like
that's actually
even that one's important for establishing character.
Right, but you're right. That is sort of a gag episode. For the most part, because like a lot of it is just him running around and sort of a hijinks, like, oh no, the cat's got my thing.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's gonna blow my cover, you know.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, they also took out the whole thing with Mao, which I
wouldn't be happy about that.
That's pretty significant. That's actually really significant. Establishing C2's character and Lelouch's character and Suzaku's character to an extent.
Plus, the way he gets out of that is awesome.
Oh, dude, that probably one of the best elements. Probably one of the best.
We're not going to say what it is.
I'm not going to say what it is, but probably one of the best triumphs in Code Geass is the moment he defeats Mao.
Right, because it was truly a fun bit of psychology there.
Yeah.
And again, we can't really say much more than that or give it too much away. If you're interested, definitely check it out. It's something else. Pretty fun. Very, very clever. And that's another thing when you're rewatching stuff is that sometimes you'll pick up on something you didn't grab the first time around.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of show it is. Now, like if it's something like, I don't know, like Fumofu or anything like that, probably not. But
there's
anything
nothing
like
really to pick up from.
No,
Fumofu.
it's all
pretty straightforward.
Yeah, there's not a lot of sidestepping or anything like that. But something like Code Geass, where they've got more themes than just the main one going on at the same time, you can spot little things going on in the background, whether it be even just some piece of dialogue that's kind of floating around. Or
well, it's like after you've watched it the first time and you know what's about to happen, now you can look for clues, and a lot of those clues are there. You just don't see them because you don't know to look for them. Same thing with Evangelion.
Again, Sixth Sense syndrome.
Yep.
Again, and people are mad I'm spoiling that. Sorry, it's been a long time since it's been out.
It's like 20 years old. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So come on. That's like people getting mad about Star Wars spoilers of the original trilogy. It's silly. There's a certain level of cultural, osmosis that you should have had by now. And if you haven't, sorry. Probably shouldn't be listening to our show because we're bad about that. So yeah, rewatching shows, you can spot little things like that. You can sometimes look for, since you already, like you said, you already kind of have a map of things are going. Sometimes your eyes and your senses will sort of attune to other parts of things that are going on.
Exactly.
And again, if there's a show, I don't know, since you mentioned like Zeta Gundam or something like that, where there's a lot of stuff going on all the time, you might pick up on a little more than you did the first time because you already have that information and you're in many ways gathering more on your next trip through simply by already knowing certain things, and thus your mind sort of looks elsewhere.
Right.
While you're watching it, because that's already old information. And again, I mean, some things are just nice to look at. Like, can we just go with that? I mean, some things are just visually like marvel.
I mean, that's one reason I rewatch an arc of Amagami SS every now and again. It's just a good looking show. It's just a pure pleasure to watch.
You know, it's an easy thing to rewatch and also get, and it's pretty much scenery porn. Robot Carnival. Anything you could watch, any segment you want.
Yeah, a lot of those things that occur in segments or self-contained arcs, just really easy to rewatch.
Or films like something from Makoto Shinkai or anything like that. Almost anything he does is visual of some kind. I'm not going to say scenery because, like, I mean, when I think of scenery porn, I think of stuff like Clannad or anything like KyoAni usually, because they always have these. I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for, but the way they show like forests, backgrounds, and fields and things like that always have this like extra oomph to them.
The environment.
Yeah, basically. Whereas when I think of Makoto Shinkai, I mean, he has those things too, but I think he's a little more expansive, because of space and things like that. Or I don't know. It just doesn't seem quite as in the same field. He feels a little more what's the word here? Not I completely having a brain fart. So anyway,
he does a lot of really good skies.
Yeah, his less except for like Garden of Words. I mean, that's practically a botanical garden.
Yeah.
Just like being in it. But no, I mean, but other things like this newest one, Weather With You, it's got lots of storms and clouds and that sort of thing. It also looks like it has a lot of cityscapes. I haven't seen it, obviously. But, or, you have some of his older ones, which have sort of a more spacey kind of theme. I mean, assuming
a distant star.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas when I think of like stuff made by Key or whatever, I don't think of space really, or anything like that. I think of more kind of natural forests and scenery,
right,
that you'd see in the park or something like that. It's just really high definition and detailed. And in some cases, they're actual places. I know that's true with K-On! Thanks, KyoAni. I'm sure they get people trying to visit that high school every year just for that. No,
actually, it was an elementary school.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I'm talking about in the show.
No, in the show, yeah, it was a high school, obviously.
Yeah, that's yeah, I know that. I was referring to the show. Anyway,
All right, so we're getting up against the break, and we do have a pretty full third segment. So to round this off, what is the next thing you plan on rewatching?
the anime, right?
Yes.
Okay. I honestly haven't decided yet, but I do know this year I'm probably gonna start doing a Gundam thing again. So I'll end up probably watching all of it at some point.
Probably one of the things I bought from the Amazon, from the Sentai sale. So probably like Amagi Brilliant Park.
Honestly, I'm feeling maybe something like Dirty Pair.
Ooh.
That's a good call.
Mm.
I
Big
got a
fan.
Blu-ray release in Japan, so
Yeah, big fan of. I've got all the Dirty Pair stuff. Big fan of that franchise. And yourself?
I'm thinking. I'm thinking Girls Last Tour
Right.
because I got the Blu-ray of that.
I really need to check that show out.
Dude, what year did this come out? 2018?
I think it was 2017.
2017?
Or maybe 2018. One of those two, yeah.
Well, I know Karen was a big fan of the show.
2018. Yeah, it's the best anime of 2018.
I would have to
Wait. Over Seishun Buta?
Was that 2018? Oh, shit.
Yes.
Oh, okay, no, 2017 is when Girls Last Tour came out. I'm safe.
All right.
I don't have to make hard decisions. I'm safe.
Is
Girls
Bunny
Last
Girl,
Tour, best anime of 2017. Bunny Girl Senpai, best anime of 2018.
is that one really that good too?
It's really
Yes.
that good. It really is that good.
I love the facial expressions they make in that show
Mm.
that I've seen. It's one of those ones I need to.
It's so good. But yeah, Girls Last Tour is probably the next thing I'm gonna rewatch.
I've only seen a little bit of it.
It's really good. It's like it. I would say it's really good. It's really good. Like atmosphere.
Aren't there like
on
only like
point.
2 characters?
They encounter other people throughout the show, but it's only for like an episode. So there's basically only 2 characters. But like character interactions on point. Art on point. Environments on point. Everything is just so well executed in this show. I mean, the CG is CG, but it's not in your face about it, but even that's well done.
You know what it reminds me of, weirdly enough, the little I have seen of it? It reminds me of, again, if you've ever played the Donkey Kong Country games when you're in the railway areas.
Okay.
like
that
anybody
is a
who's
weird
played
comparison,
that.
but go on.
Well, no, because like they're in the mine carts and like it's kind of dark and foreboding a little bit.
See, I compare it to if Hitomari's sketch met Nier Automata.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's like, okay, we
took no to be.
we took.
Oh, I know. Speaking of which, I know something I need to rewatch down the line, probably for 2020. Girls in Panzer.
Huh.
That's another one that's on my rewatch list at some point. Because number one, I still haven't watched the movie. So what's probably going to happen is watch the entire series, then the Anzio OVA, then the movie, then all the new shit that's coming out for it.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take the break now.
Yes, indeed. We are up against the break. Keep it right here on NTR Radio. Welcome back to NTR Radio. So
Anubis gets mad again.
Yeah. We got some shit to talk about. The article is going up in the IRC right now. It is it's an editorial on Crunchyroll.com, December 20th by this kid. This
is Kit.
This is Kit. Okay.
I kept wanting to reading it as "This Is It," but there's a K there, so.
The title is "Why Bad Dubs Are Good. What makes a bad dub good, and how has dubbing anime changed over the years?" So, to not bother reading this whole article,
it's got some length to it.
It's got some length to it. Basically, they're talking about some of the early manga entertainment dubs, like Devil Man, Cyber City 080808. And
I think a certain soundbite is in order.
Are they talking about Angel Cop?
No, but it's from that era.
They're not mentioning Angel Cop, so we can't play this soundbite.
Fuck and piss!
See, we can't play that because they're not talking about Angel Cop. If they were talking about Angel Cop, we'd play that soundbite, but they aren't, so we don't. But they do mention an old release of Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind from the 1980s.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the significance of this is that back in that era, when they were bringing anime over to the US, a lot of the time what they would do is chop it up, add in content from other shows, and basically make it an entire show marketed differently, not resembling what it originally was.
Well, the
Voltron,
Nausicaa thing, they just, Voltron.
Robotech.
Robotech, yep.
The Nausicaa thing just cut it half an hour out of that movie.
Yeah. And so the significance of that is that when American companies tried to get Studio Ghibli stuff after the fact, Ghibli adopted a no cuts policy. It's like, okay.
Didn't they send a sword?
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
To
that's actually emphasize the point.
They said no cuts and sent a sword with it. So
actually is pretty funny.
So that was the beginning of that era, and that's why Studio Ghibli has strict standards with regard to the content of their movies being brought over. But we jump forward into the 2000s. And ADV requires the license for this show called, and I don't remember off the top of my head the Japanese title for this show, but it was localized as Ghost Stories. And the reason
some people are already laughing.
The reason this anime is so infamous is because while not having any cuts in terms of the visual content, the audio track is far and away different from what the original Japanese was.
Right. This is completely let's just say this is almost like a gag thing.
Yeah, they made a massive gag dub for the whole thing, and basically made an abridged series, but this is the actual US release of the show.
So in case you wanted a dub of it as it was, you are not going to get it.
You're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
Didn't the Japanese wasn't the Japanese like audio and subtitles still on there? Like if it's
yeah, the original audio and the accurate to Japanese subtitles were still on there.
Were intact.
They were left intact, but the English language audio is just a massive gag dub for the entire show.
Yeah, and like Shinden said, it's an abridged version. It's exactly
it's an officially licensed abridged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like if you've ever seen DBZ abridged or something. It's like that.
And I mean, basically, the story behind it is the people responsible for giving them the license were saying, okay, well, the company that owned it just said, hey, do whatever you want with it. Because it was a show that was failing in Japan. They didn't really care what happened to it. They just wanted to recoup some of the money. So they licensed it out to ADV and says, hey, listen, we actually don't give a fuck about this show. Just do whatever you want with it. And so the gentleman who directed this dub was a guy named Stephen Foster, who has a reasonable level of infamy within the anime dubbing industry. So here's at the end of the show, they go into the Pop Team Epic dub and how they changed the script for that, adding in like relevant memes to like today. So they go into that, but what I want to focus on is the thing with ghost stories, because I don't think people realize why this is a problem. And ghost stories is sort of like people have a fondness for it, and I understand why. But can we please stop pretending it's some sort of masterpiece?
Yeah, for real. It's a gag.
It's like, I appreciate why people like it, but when we look at good anime dubs, we shouldn't be talking about ghost stories.
We shouldn't be talking about jokes. You should be talking about, if you're talking about what would be a good dub, you should be talking about something that basically keeps the content intact.
The worst part, I believe, about like the fact that we're still talking about it now is really proof positive of this, is that it set sort of a precedent that like you can just willy-nilly add edgy shit to make something more relatable to a Western audience. And I've seen that happen with like My Baby Kill a Kill. They just add all of this edgy shit to it to make it sell better with like a more adult audience, because Ghost Stories originally was for kids, but the dub of
you wouldn't think that.
But they did the same thing with Hitalia, which Hitalia was rated for children. It was a children's show in Japan. It had a couple of sex jokes that made the rating go up when it came over here. So then what they do with the dub of Hitalia, they just make it this edgy adult pandering shit and slap an M rating. So they found out with Ghost Stories that they can get away with this stuff and make it wildly popular. So why not continue that paradigm? That is what I think is the worst part of the legacy of Ghost Stories dub, because it caused more problems later down the line than I think anybody would have expected it would have, because it definitely didn't intend to do that, but it made it so this kind of crap is okay. Right. And maybe not to the same extent.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily bad when it happened, but when it started was bad.
And I think you see more of that out of Funimation's creative liberties you see nowadays.
Exactly.
To some extent, some
of that's more politically motivated.
Well, it's like the paradigm Ghost Story started, enabled that, like encouraged that behavior. Funimation just took it to a different level.
Right. It was legitimately supposed to be funny when they did that, whereas it's obvious they're just almost taking the piss out of the kind of people who actually like these shows with Funimation.
Precisely.
Or they're trying to. They're not really succeeding very well, I doubt. Because, I mean, people are boycotting them, so, I mean...
Yeah. Funimation doesn't care about the fans of these things. They want to broaden the audience by making fun of the fans of these things.
I mean, yeah, like, if you've heard some of the stuff some of the people there that are employed there say about the people who like some of these shows, you probably would not support them anymore.
Why bid on the licenses if that's all you're going to do with it?
Usually,
that money.
Well, in some cases, certainly it was the case with the ADV. What they did, and I'm not sure if this is still how it operates, they would do package deals like, oh, if you want this show, you also got to take this, and that. Things like that. You didn't just get what you wanted. You had to make deals. You had to take this, that, and then they'll give you what you actually wanted.
Just do what Bandai Entertainment did and don't do the dub on some of the sideline things.
I believe that's interesting because in many cases that's what Aniplex did.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, this isn't going to appeal to your average person here anyway, so why bother?
Hell, Sentai Filmworks is still putting out stuff without English voice tracks.
Right, and some shows you can just tell. Well, this has no possibility of getting on TV.
Yeah, although they've gone and re-released stuff with a dub.
They have.
Like doing that for Two Love Room just recently.
Right, and again, we're not saying that's necessarily bad or anything. We're just pointing out that there are certain shows that the marketability of a dub is, has very limited appeal to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I know one line Anubis is gonna definitely say, like all the way on the bottom. Should I say, or do you still have more?
All right. Well. So let's go back to Ghost Stories because I still need to dispel the fact that this is a creative masterpiece.
Yeah, I never seen that in any.
Creative, yes. Masterpiece, no.
No.
So there's a YouTube video by a YouTuber that goes by Red Bard, and she actually interviewed Stephen Foster talking about Ghost Stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so I picked out a few of the choice answers just to illustrate exactly what I'm talking about when we're talking about how Ghost Stories isn't necessarily this masterpiece. So, question: tell me how you came to be involved with Ghost Stories. This is Stephen Foster. The studio, ADV Films, at the time had licensed this show that had bombed in Japan. The company that owned it just wanted to recoup some of their investments, so they said we could do anything we wanted it. I had a reputation for writing scripts that, well, deviated from the direct translation, and thus they gave it to me. Question: what made you decide to make your version of Ghost Stories so different from the original? Stephen Foster: truthfully, I just went wild with whatever I thought was funny. I had started this method of working where the actors could see the script on my monitor, and that way they could read lines as they needed to. They could read lines as they needed to be changed instead of working off a paper script. I went into the studio with just the translation and wrote script as I went. It worked for this gothic horror series Gilgamesh. I figured I could try it with a comedy. Question: was the entire script improv? Stephen Foster: the whole recording process was just me coming up with shit I thought was funny. I just made it up as it went along. The actors would chime in with a joke or a line every now and then, which I guess how the rumor got started that the whole show was ad-libbed. And in a way it was. I just ripped on the visuals and the characters as I'd morphed them and the situations. So if we're talking a creative masterpiece, it was just Foster and whoever else was in the room throwing shit up against the wall. And I grabbed this fourth quote just to illustrate the kind of attitude of the individuals who worked on this show. Question: what was the initial reaction to the dub like? Stephen Foster: like most of the anime I did, people bitched about how much I changed it. Those that complained the loudest were the ones who didn't even see it, of course. But then rational anime fans, not rabid anal otakus, watched it and fell in love with it. Non-anime fans loved it. Quote: if more anime was like this, I'd watch more anime, unquote. And comments like that on the boards.
So what you really want is Adult Swim type humor.
Yeah, basically. Well, what really happens is we're not catering to anime fans, we're catering to people who want anime to be something different than it already is.
They're just the quirky people who want to be into the quirky things and be all quirky.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so here's my question. Scenario. I'm a dub guy. I'm a guy who likes to watch his anime dubbed. If I was interested in Ghost Stories, the Japanese anime, what the fuck am I gonna do?
You're fucked.
I want to watch it. I want to watch the show as it aired in Japan, but I'm also a dub guy. So what the fuck am I gonna do?
Much like Pokemon fans here, you are going to be screwed.
Yeah. So what we're really doing is we're catering to the whims of egotistical voice staff.
An aspiring comedian.
I guess. We're catering to the whims of egotistical, self-centered voice staff rather than making the show realistically in a way that would appeal to the most people. Because listen, there's no way of telling if, like, in the moment, there's no way of telling if giving the ghost stories treatment to any given show is going to make that show more or less successful. The way to go, if we're trying to play it safe, if we're trying to maximize the appeal of these shows, the way to go is to make the show as close to the original as possible. Because then if someone's interested in the show as it exists, then okay, yeah. Oh, we get an accurate dub of the show. Okay, this is the show I was interested in. Thank you for doing this, so I can watch the show in English. What we don't need is aspiring writers trying to change around the script to make it what is in their eyes more palatable, to make it what is in their eyes more appealing to a wider audience. And so the reason I get upset when we're talking about good dubs and we bring up ghost stories is that it's a problem that we're so far down this paradigm that we're considering ghost stories a good dub. When realistically that should be the opposite. Every dub should aspire to be the opposite of ghost stories. Whatever is diametrically opposed to that should be what every dub should want to be. But we're in this era where we see ghost stories take off because a lot of highly vocal people who fundamentally have no interest in ghost stories, the anime as it existed, latched on to the dub. Yeah. Well, at this point, you're basically talking about two completely different works of media.
Exactly.
We've diverged. It's branched off.
I was gonna say, to me, it sounds like you're pandering to an audience of people who don't care about the culture behind the medium that the original.
Fundamentally, yes.
Not only that, but it also seems like they're more interested in prepping to be on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Well, they're more interested in. Well, here's the thing. You could have, and well, here's the shit thing about it. I don't think ghost stories. If you took that audio track and applied it to like an original cartoon, it probably wouldn't work quite as well. The fact that it is a gag dub of a legitimate anime is part of its popularity. That's how far down that rabbit hole we've come.
Yeah, because it's interesting because that was released as actual product versus when, like, Team 4-Star does it. Or
you know what's funny? You were talking about the paradigm with anime, but this has happened to Tokusatsu also. Because before Power Rangers, which again is also a variant on this topic, before they brought Super Sentai, one of the earlier ones, Dynaman, onto the USA channel, and they did the same exact thing they did with the Ghost Stories dub, kinda, where they basically made.
Guarantee they weren't nowhere near it.
Well, okay, maybe not, but they made basically a gag dub out of it. As opposed, okay, this is the show exactly as is, or they weren't even taking it to making it as marketable as possible. It's just, oh, here's this goofy thing from Japan. We could, gag dub a couple episodes, and But granted, that they're completely different eras than now.
Well, see, what this really goes back to, and I did a part 1, part 2 article on Iyashike about this, was this paradigm was set in stone back in the 80s when they had started licensing anime, but what they really, it was in no way resembled anywhere close to the licensing of anime now. Because right now we got it pretty good. Right now we got it extremely good compared to the 80s when the method back then was take this show, cut it up, maybe even splice some shit from a completely unrelated show in there, and then release it as something else marketed mainly at children.
It's Battle of the Planets.
Battle of the Planets, a lot of the
Battle
Ghibli stuff, like I said earlier.
Well, Battle of the Planets is hilarious because they just we need something to fill because we're taking so much out of it. We need to fill in something. So we're gonna completely make new animation just of the robot. What was it? 7 Zark 7?
Yeah.
As a sort of like a sort of interstitial thing, as if he's watching the characters on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so the theory I go into with that is back in the day when tape trading was the thing, when tape trading was how people got anime, you were one of either two kinds of people. Either you were the kind of people who was nearby and in with the big anime clubs and could get access to those tapes, or you were the kind of person who was out of that range and had to resort to buying these tapes off of people who set up shop at sci-fi conventions. And that kind of practice was basically reviled by the tape traders, because their whole thing was, anime should be freely distributed. Why would we want to limit anyone's ability to experience this amazing medium by charging money for it? Which is noble, but what they should have realized was someone was going to sell tapes eventually, and there's no reason it can't be them.
Mm-hmm.
So when business started getting involved in anime, it had no desire to maintain things like artistic integrity, to maintain things like the original intentions of the creators, stuff like that. And you see the ripples of this paradigm even today. So if you want to figure out how Funimation thinks it's acceptable to do what they do, go back to the tape traders and yell at them. But realistically, the issue is we don't know what a good dub is. Because if we're talking ghost stories, when we're talking quote good dubs unquote, we don't know what a good dub is. Back in the day, it used to be Cowboy Bebop. I don't hear a whole lot about the Cowboy Bebop dub anymore. Quite frankly, I don't hear a whole lot about dubs in general anymore, but so that might be indicative, but we fundamentally don't know what a good dub is, because we have so many just disparate examples of quote good dubs that I don't think we ever established that criteria. And I think if anything that makes up the Ghost Stories dub is part of that criteria, I think we need to reevaluate that.
I view dubs in the same way that I view like accessibility things like elevators or handicap parking spaces. And
I understand what you're where
You
you're going with
want-
this, but I can't
you
help but
want
smirk a bit.
Yeah. Well, it's not just an accessibility thing, but for the most part, I think of it as an accessibility thing. You want your handicap parking spaces to be close to the entrance of your business, not close to the entrance of a completely different business. So everybody who has to go through these means of accessibility are enjoying what is fundamentally a changed and very different product.
Exactly.
And that's the reason why I've always been railing against dubs. Not just the oh, sometimes they're poorly acted, or oh, I disagree with the voice casting and stuff, or even the whole miasma of filth that is the industry in general. It's that if I'm talking to somebody who watched the dub to an anime, I start to notice that they have fundamentally different experiences with the same media that I saw. And that's where it starts to I start to just like drift away from them. And I think that because I've always said this, community is a huge part of how I enjoy anime. And if the community is split between two different sides, that one of them views these characters as completely different characters than how I experience them, that is where I start to see a major problem. And like you say, if we're holding ghost stories as this pinnacle of how a good dub is, then you're just giving credence to fundamentally changing things and splitting the community even more, especially if they can't agree on how certain characters behave and how certain characters are fleshed out. And that is the issue that I always cause.
Exactly.
And I can't justify that.
You're enshrining the creation of unrelated media under a pretense of being the original media.
Exactly.
Right. Is that it? Or
Yeah, let's hit up this winter season chart.
all right. Just to be kind of good through this, if there's anything that doesn't interest us, we don't have to really read any description. Just move past.
Yeah. So we're
Alright.
going to go to anychart.net/winter-2020. And I believe it should already be in alphabetical order.
If not, you can actually do it
Yeah.
yourself.
If not, you just go up to the top right, click the arrows, and
Sort.
sort by title.
Mm-hmm. And it'll alphabetize it for you.
All right.
Let me read the first one.
Go ahead.
All right. 22/7, which is pronounced Nana Bun no Ni Nijuni.
Maybe it's just July 22nd.
Nah. Well, I don't know.
They put the day first, don't they?
Yeah.
Could be right. Is a digital idol and voice actors project produced by a famous producer. Is this anime? The audience will witness the secrets behind the group's debut and the story leading up to the creation via the different viewpoints of each member. Here's the thing about this. I actually knew about this franchise for a few years because they've been releasing like music CDs.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard some of the songs. They're actually pretty good. This has all the right pedigree for it. It already has songs. Because here's the thing. You know how it's like, other than Idolmaster and Love Live, I'm kind of always, cautious to approach any other idol thing.
Yeah.
Because they tend to not be good. This has the makings to be, if not good, at least pretty decent. Because, as I said, it has some music that I like already. The studio is A1 Pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and the character designer is the one. I don't know the person by name, but it's the one that did K-On!
Mm.
So looking forward to that. And also the interesting that they're all doing like kind of like the omnibus thing, but more like the way Photokano is, where one episode, one girl,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and then the later episodes will have them all together.
Right. To continue kind of along that frame, there's the third season of Bang Dream. That's in the music field as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're tagged as, music.
Yeah, as I couldn't get in because although the second and this third season, they're like 3D CG instead of like regular animated. So I don't know if that even like
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. I'm just gonna throw this out there. There's more Precure coming.
You don't have this in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I do. I just don't have much to say about everything else.
Oh,
Okay.
Looking at
Haikyuu.
it, there's not a whole lot this coming season. There's a couple things that I'm looking forward to.
This fourth season of Haikyuu looks interesting. Ishizoku Reviewers.
Yes, that's one I'm looking forward to. And you know who's gonna hate that show, which means I'm gonna really enjoy that one.
It's comedy and
All the way in
etchy,
F.
so that alone is
Yeah, read the premise also.
okay. I'll throw this one out there. Beauty truly is in the eye of the, from elves to succubi to cyclops, and more. The Urano Glass reviewers are here to rate the red light delights of all manner of monster girls. The only thing is, they can never agree on which species are the hottest. Yeah, I could see this being.
It's essentially an isekai with sex workers.
What's great about this is the studio name is Passion.
Passion.
Passion, yeah.
I'm looking forward to Koisuru Asteroid. Animated
I
by
like the designs.
I like the
from
designs.
the pictures are very.
Yeah,
I really do like the visuals here. There's just this shot is very. I'm gonna watch the preview after we're done. It's very appealing. Just like it really jumps out to me.
yeah, it's Moe Girls in Astronomy.
Yeah, which isn't necessarily the most exciting thing ever, but it is pretty cool.
Listen, if you don't think space is the coolest shit, we can't.
Yeah, but hey, I didn't say space wasn't. I said astronomy necessarily.
We bring together Moe Girls and anything involving space. I'm on board. Unless it's Starship Operators. That show was horrible.
Or building a Methus.
So Nekopara anime.
Oh yeah, I never saw the OVA for that.
I still need to see the OVA. The Nekopara OVA, aka don't try and fight people who spend hundreds of dollars on cute anime girl shit regularly because you're not gonna win that battle. They'll give like close to $1 million to a 1-episode OVA based on a visual novel they played.
One of the big ones for this season, Magia Record, Maho Shoujo, Madoka Magic Gaiden. Yeah.
Gaiden. Yeah.
The
Shaft,
Madoka franchise returns.
So this is going to be. Let's just say we know somebody that will be going ape shit on this one.
Naturally.
Yeah. The only thing is, what's interesting is if you notice the episode count.
Yeah, it says there's 24.
Yeah, which means you know there's going to be at least one like recap episode because.
Oh, for sure. It's been a long time since the other one actually aired.
Well, no, I don't mean a recap of the original show. I mean a recap within the show.
Oh, in the middle of the show. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like a schedule slip.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Because Shaft is infamous for that.
Mm-hmm. I like the designs for Plunderer. especially the dark skinned girl with the silver looking hair.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
She looks exactly like the girl from that one that My Girlfriend is a Gal.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And the description's kind of interesting too. It's like, okay, check this out. It's the year 305 of the Alcyon calendar. And the world is currently controlled by numbers, quote, unquote. Every human born is branded with a count. This count can be anything, the amount of kilometers walked, or the amount of people who have said your food is tasty. If your count drops to 0, you will be sent into the abyss. After Hina's mother's count dropped to 0, her last request was for Hina to look for the legendary Red Baron. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Definitely. Yeah, Japan will anthropomorphize anything, won't they?
Railgun Season 3.
Yeah, I was actually going to point that out. That's
I'm
for
still
people
on
who
Index. The first one.
and that's JC staff, of course.
None stabbing their ears with dipping pens.
All right, one that I'm actually interested in seeing, and I'm gonna try this. I'm not gonna be happy about it, but I'm gonna try this. Rike ga koe ni ochita no de shome shi.
Rike ga koe ni ochita no de shome shittemashita.
Thank you.
Shittemita.
Thank you. What would we do
You're
without
welcome.
Shinden? Jesus Christ.
You were struggling with that one, man.
That last fucking word hung me up.
Okay, I see why you like this one.
English title is Science Fell in Love, so I tried to prove it.
Ooh.
It's all science people.
And
Everyone has lab coats. I'm on board.
Yes, it's also airing on Amazon Prime, it says.
Oh, hey. Cool. So I don't need to do shit. I can just watch it on my TV.
Zero G is the studio.
The premise goes as follows. Yukimura Shinya and Himuro Ayame are two scientists who want to find out if love can be solved by a scientific theory. These two scientists also have feelings for each other and want to be able to solve their true feelings through similar theoretical facts.
I smell some humor.
With this perfect
Theoretical
opportunity,
facts.
these scientists will attempt to solve the theory of love they express for each other.
Yeah. Like I said, misunderstandings. Oh, yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? Love Lab.
Yep. I was thinking that myself. Here's one that I'm not interested in seeing so much is I just find the title peculiar. Somali Tomori no Kamisama. Somali as in Somalia?
I fucking hope not. Wow, no, really, Somalian the forest spirit. I'm sure they're not talking about Somalia.
I really hope not. Like, watch it be about pirates or some shit. Okay. Again, I think this season is going to be a light one. So, I mean, in some ways, that's fine for me because there's not a whole. Obviously, Madoka is interesting, and Koisuru Asteroid looks very appealing just from the picture. At least to me. I might do the thing where I basically on Twitter blog it, where I post like the pictures and a little commentary for every episode.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was gonna do that with Jet Girls, but I actually didn't because the first time I tried to watch it, I saw it censored and it pissed me off.
Oops.
And if you've seen the show, you know why watching it censored is bullshit.
Yeah. It's a bad call.
There's two shorts I want to check out, actually.
Okay.
Heya Camp, which means room camp, which is the short
Spinoff.
Yeah, for Euro Camp.
Yeah, so Karen will probably be into that.
And the other one is just because I really like the way this main girl looks. Natsu Nagu.
Interesting.
The story follows the coming of age Natsuna Kayaki, a college student from someone in college and not high school. College student from Tokyo who goes to Kumamoto after losing contact with her friend after the 2016 earthquakes. There, she meets individuals with colorful personalities, such as a middle school girl, Izumi, begins to light a passion in Natsuya.
Interesting.
I
might check
and
that
of
one
course,
out.
And then you've got the leftovers. So I mean, you got more Fate stuff.
Yeah, none of these I'm watching.
Chihaya Furu. Obviously, My Hero Academia.
Oh, fuck. I forgot Phantasy Star Online 2 was airing this season.
Yeah, and that's still
I need
playing out.
I need to pick that one up.
And
because I
Gonzo did it
100%
at
forgot
that.
about it.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of movies too. I mean, there's a Made in Abyss movie.
Yeah, boy.
One called again, there's a Precure movie, Shirobako.
Shirobako movie's coming out.
PA Works. I like the name of this one. It's just kind of funny sounding. Sakaichi Hatsukoi Proposal Ken.
Oh, they're making a Sakaichi Hatsukoi movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's the show that Funimation got in trouble with the whole Fujoshi Life thing.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you have some OVAs, ONAs, and specials kind of at the end here. We're going to take a look at real quick. You have Girls in Panzer,
Yep.
Taiyaki War. You have Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon OVA from JC Staff. Goblin Slayer's coming back.
Yep.
Since I just mentioned that, it's called Goblin's Crown, and White Fox handles it. It's going to be very good, I'm sure. At least I thought the show was entertaining. Then you've got a couple of more. Okay, this one.
The Mommy Isekai is getting an OVA.
Yep.
Yeah. I was actually going to mention that once I got down there. And then you've got more stuff from Strike the Blood, which is really popular. I see a lot of stuff for it. And this one looks kind of interesting. Mugen no Juinen Immortal from Leiden or Leiden Films. Probably
oh,
Leiden.
okay. Blade of the Immortal.
Yes. Which you've probably heard of that before.
Yep.
I know I have. Looking at just the picture, it looks like something that people who are into Fist of the North Star would probably like. Just by the actual visual.
But it's funny, the people who demand all that like manly anime, which got nothing wrong with that.
No. It's
But it's like,
fine.
where's the people talking about that stuff that you would think
Nah.
would appeal?
And if you look, it's only got a 6%. Like if you look at the little thing up there, which is not a particularly a high score. I guess that's just people who are interested or whatever. Yeah, likes and whatnot. Anyway, beyond that, there's again the inappropriate dude banging his mom. I mean, no.
I just call it
Eurocamp
Mommy
spinoff.
Isekai.
Whom?
What now?
Oh, Eurocamp spinoff.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what I
yeah.
said before.
That was mentioned. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else doesn't particularly look it's jumping out, but if anybody else wants to chime in.
It looks average for me, like as far as
Yeah, I mean, nothing about it really looks
average in
like,
terms of count of
Yeah, and again, even the stuff that is coming out, it doesn't look bad. It just looks like it's going to be light.
Yeah. It's a nice, easygoing winter season.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because there's only like 2 or 3 shows out of this that I think I'm even going to bother with, so that's going to be easy for me. And I actually don't mind when it's like that, because if it's just a couple shows, you really don't have a lot of... don't have a lot of crap you got to deal with. You can just kind of relax and unwind and watch the stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have like feel like you're under the gun to get a bunch of stuff out. And
But I guarantee you, Issues Ogu reviews is going to get a lot of discussion for one way or another.
Yeah, I that's one I might take a look at if I hear good things from people around me.
Yeah,
whose opinion I actually trust.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll definitely be talking about that.
And the astronomy thing, that, I mean, normally just from the basic pretext of it, I might not have been quite interested, but actually seeing the visual actually looks really nice.
I'll probably check out the astronomy anime because of the visuals and because of Stoko Kobo.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were the ones, or else I probably would have been more interested right off.
Then I also want to check out Nekopata.
That's the nice thing is when you got friends that kind of do the leg for you, like,
exactly.
Hey, it's like, you watch this show, I'll watch this one. We'll tell each other what we thought about it.
Yeah, I'm the guy that always tends to watch the most stuff. And
Guinea
so
pigs.
I'm kind of like the...
I've got some friends who watch like upwards of fucking 9-10 shows a season. It's fucking unreal.
I can't do that.
No, and the thing is they're not like bums or anything. They have full-time jobs. It's like, how the fuck do you even do that? And then it's like, be like, oh, I'll do it before I take off. I'll squeeze in an episode of something, or, you know, it's just like, I mean, I can't like yell at them or anything, you know. I mean, it's like, you know, they're not fucking around or anything, not doing anything.
9 to 10 things. Usually, never 9 to 10 things that interest me that much. That's the thing.
Right.
I mean, like I said, I can't get on anybody. Hey, if you can make the time, cool. I mean, I've got enough stuff to where even if I could make the time, I'd want to use some of it for other things.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's no diss on people who don't. I mean, that's just, you know, I got other things I enjoy. So,
you know, it's always the average for me is anywhere from like 3 to 5 shows or less.
And that's a lot more easy to handle, really. To juggle just a couple shows.
Yeah. For this one, it's like regular shows and 2 shorts, so it's like, you know.
Yeah, it's not looking like it's going to be a heavy season. It's probably going to go smoothly.
That's kind of been the average, like what it's been for the past few years.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And people complain about that, but I mean, really think about it. Say every season there's about 3 shows that you like.
Yeah.
Think about, okay. Well, that means in a year, you've got a dozen shows. Huh. And like, if those are all owned by Aniplex, you're dealing thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? It's like people are acting like they should have some Nick at Night lineup shit or something.
I don't know, the people that, you know what it is? Because here's the other thing that I've noticed the past couple of years. And this is a good thing. So there's pretty much something for everyone now.
Usually,
everyone's taste is a applied here. Everyone is satisfied.
Like, there's a lot across the board. If like you look at this listing, there's probably at least 1 or 2 that'll grab your interest.
Every kind of anime fan has a couple shows at least every season.
Right, and that's what makes it work, in my opinion. Because if it didn't, well, if it just skewed too heavily one way, I think it would, for one, I think burnout would occur.
Right.
But, I mean, despite what people have said, if you go back and look in years past, the trend actually has been pretty much a myriad of different kind of things being made. I mean, some people will complain that it doesn't look like the 80s OVAs or something anymore, and they're just gonna have to complain because stylistic changes are inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, probably the only thing that you'll hear people complain is like, there aren't any mech anime anymore,
and that's not even entirely true.
No,
they still pop up. I mean, yeah, not with near as much frequency, but that's not what's selling as much anymore.
No, well, the truth is, and you know this, most most mecha anime was there designed to sell product.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's just something that people either don't believe or don't want to believe, I guess.
Other than the big IPs out, Gundam and Transformers, the only other mecha stuff that you usually see is stuff from old robot shows that are still, viably marketable. You very rarely will see something new. And that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I have to complain about is people who they know, it's like they pretend to know the history of robot anime, but then it's like, do you know the history of robot toys? Because you can't know the history. You have to know one and to know the other in a way.
What do I always say? You cannot decouple anime and business, and that's especially true with robot anime.
Yeah. Oh, it's so integral to why the particular trends that happened, and it puts it all in context also. That's the other thing that kind of makes it all fall together. It's like, yes, okay, now I know why these things happen and these things occur, and why there just aren't robot shows the way they used to be. See, apparently some people would complain, there's too many cute girls. Well, define cute girls, not all these are like, ultra moe shows. And you got
maybe the new trend will be ugly girls.
Well, if Tumblr gets their way. We get Tumblr produced anime.
Big red nose, clown shoes.
Yeah. Vitiligo.
Diarrhea. Upset stomach indigestion.
I'm not joking about the vitiligo. That's a thing that they do.
Oh yeah, I know you're not joking.
I know you're not joking. I'm just pretending I didn't hear you.
The also got to race bend these characters so they completely don't resemble anything like what they were originally.
Well, vitiligo is the compromise.
Well, before we get onto a dissertation on why Tumblr and their fucking rancor brethren are bad, we're gonna go ahead and close it down.
Yes, yeah, that is indeed the show. The email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. The website is ntrradio.net. VZ stuff is at vzmk2moemekigatai.wordpress.com, in addition to thebigbookofIdols.com. Watch that URL for the next couple days.
Awesome.
He also does the design for our shirts, which you can find at iyashike.moe/store. iyashike.moe being where I post my articles and whatnot, talking about otaku lifestyle and the otaku culture.
And get yelled at for using Ora emo header.
Get yelled at by using the incest anime to talk about good points. Shinakiba.moe is where I sell half-naked anime girl figures. Check out the Geeky Panda stuff. The geekypanda.net is his website. His stuff's really good. In addition, the Bakagaijin show, which is back now, and Otaku Midnight, because both those shows are good as well. I am on Twitter at TAnubis. VZ is on Twitter at VZMK2. KGods is on Twitter at immortal_KGods. The show is NTR_radio, and Shinden9 is on Twitter at Shinden9.
Thank you.
I'm Tom Enforcer Anubis.
I'm KGods.
I'm VZ Mark II.
I'm Shinden9.
And even though Stephen Foster directs our dub every time we say it, this is NTR Radio.